All right. Good morning, everybody. It's the Rise of Grind Morning Show. Today, we are going to dip into Rod Wood. Some candidates to replace him. On the thumbnail, Mark Hollis might be the number one candidate. Top 50 free agents fitment to the Detroit Lions and other teams. We're going to see who's the number one fit according to ESPN. And the best defense taking the NFL by storm. How does it match up to what I've wanted the Lions to do the last 3 years? And good morning. What's happening, Eric? How are you?
Hey, living up here in the Great White North.
There you go.
Yeah, we got like 8 inches of snow yesterday. It went from raining and actually melting some snow to we got about 8 inches of snow last night.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm supposed to get another 1 to 3 tomorrow. So guess what I get to do today?
Yeah, no snow here.
Plow today. Get the plow. Fun.
I don't even have any snow on the ground.
Really?
None.
Holy crap, I wish.
It's all gone.
Oh, no, dude. I still got a 20-foot snowbank in front of my house.
We had a pretty big snowbank there for a minute, but now it's rained like the last 2 days.
It was taller than my house for a while.
It was 63 degrees here.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It never even touched 40 here, but got to 38, I think, 37, 38.
So everybody else dealing with allergies knows what happens when you get an early spring like that, and then it'll disappear in a couple of days, but it throws you into a little bit of haywire with the old allergies, man. I'm feeling it today. Anyway, we got a lot of things to talk about. I don't know how much we're going to get through today. Of course, the biggest topic of the day is the conference call with Daniel Jeremiah today. Hoping it all goes well today. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to kind of hear what he has to say about this draft, because I'm a little bit later than what I'd normally like to be as far as putting out some stuff, but this draft, last night I went and watched another 20 prospects tape, and I couldn't believe the discrepancy between how these guys are being rated and where you would compare them to seasons past. I really don't like this draft. I mean, I like parts of it. I think there's some good players. But let's just say the combine next week is going to be the most important. And just FYI, we are credentialed for next week. So we will be at the combine, and we'll finally get an inside look behind the scenes with everything down at the combine. So we'll be able to put some more pen to paper and bring the system down that I can start filling in to get some good information, which I'm hoping that now that we have a credential for it, I won't have to do as much work as I normally do. I'm hoping that we're going to get fed the information, kind of like doing other credentialed work where they give you all the stats, at the end of every quarter, and, it's getting emailed to you. I'm hoping it's kind of the same thing that, when certain groups are done, that we're getting the email with all of the height, weight, speeds and everything that they did. So I don't have to sit there and time it, clock it, write it down, or try to remember it and try to go so fast because they're whipping through it, and I'm trying to get all of them written down and make sure that I'm accurate. It's tough. So every time I've gone to the combine and I've done that, I don't think people realize how difficult it is to pay attention, write everything down, write all your comments out, and be quick about it, and then watch the next guy flying right through,
And trying to watch other guys that aren't running that are over here doing drills, and then the guys over there that are jumping, see how high they can jump all at the same time. And then while they're doing that, the other group of guys is over here weightlifting. And one thing is the general public doesn't get to see any of the weightlifting. They're not in there for that.
They used to. They used to put it on TV.
But the media can be.
Yeah, they used to do it on ESPN back in the day.
I remember.
That's how I got That's how I got into this years ago, loving analytics and that was like my Super Bowl. Being a Lions fan was the combine. So every year I would literally, if I had to work, I wouldn't work. I'd be at home for like 3-4 days, however many days it was. I don't remember. It was maybe 4 days. And I would just sit there and watch ESPN all day long and just listen to Rich Eisen talking about all these prospects and breaking them all down. And I'm watching the players. One of my earlier memories was watching Odell Beckham. And at the time, I think he was like the 10th rated wide receiver. And I'm watching and I'm like, this is the best dude. This is the best receiver. Clearly. You could see how his hips were so smooth, the way that he flew down the gauntlet. I don't think he dropped a pass. You could tell he was going to be special, and he was not rated that high. And then I think he ended up getting rated a little bit higher. It's a long time ago to try to remember that. I mean, it's at least 12 years ago, I think now, or 10 years ago. But that was probably one of my earlier experiences with the combine where I started to realize, okay, I think I have an eye for this. I love it. I get it. I want to do more with it, and I started tinkering with analytics and just really never let it go. I should have been doing this 10 years ago. This is what I should have been doing. Imagine how much further I'd be along if I would have started doing this 10 years ago. But hey, life circumstance threw me here, and it all happened for a reason. So it's all good. Anyway, let's get into let's just rip the Band-Aid off, man, with the first, with the thumbnail. I'm sure all the U of M fans out there are just pissed off that I've got a Spartan on the thumbnail.
I didn't know who that was on your thumbnail.
Yeah, it's Mark Hollis. So
who is he?
He was the AD over at MSU. And quite honestly, I don't even know if he's still there or what the deal is. I know Dan Campbell's daughter goes to MSU. Smart of Dan Campbell, right? To send his daughter to the best school in Michigan. I'm just kidding. I just got to drive it. Got to drive it in a little bit today.
Didn't Dan and Holly go to a basketball game recently or something?
They did, and did not go well for the Spartans that night. They looked like crap. They definitely look like crap. But I'm trying to find my article here. I don't know what happened to it. This is not good. It's not good at all. There was some information I had on Mark Hollis so he resigned in 2018 from MSU. Here we go. Oh, I got it. But his name is getting floated around to be the next president and CEO for the Detroit Lions. That's why he's on the thumbnail this morning. I know there's some other names that we'll talk about today too. But his name is circling back around in sports media. So he's been identified as a potential leading candidate for the open vacancy as the Detroit Lions start to look for their next president. And this is according to Tony Paul of the Detroit News. And Paul noted that Hollis has a very good, has had a good second act as Dan Gilbert's right-hand man with Rocket, and he knows the Hamps. So, citing that the former Spartan athletic director was on the search committee that hired Dan Campbell. I had no idea that he was involved in that back then. So what does that tell you? So he's involved with Rocket, right? You know what Rocket Mortgage is, right? Yeah. And he's got a good relationship with the Hamps already. He was part of the committee that hired Dan Campbell. I mean, so you would think that they could trust him. And I think that's probably the biggest thing out of all of this. It's not so much your football knowledge, as we've seen with Rod Wood, as it is your intelligence and being able to be trusted. I'm not saying he's the best candidate. Honestly, I wouldn't even know who the best candidate would be at this point. I think it's really early. And I don't even think I would know anyway who would be the best candidate. But I guess when you kind of put two and two together, I think there's a relationship here that makes a lot of sense. Now, the Lions' search for the new president is going to be national. We do know that. They're not just going to settle what's going on in Michigan. They're looking everywhere. Don't be surprised, though. Don't be surprised if it's right in our own backyard, just down in, from East Lansing, former AD Mark Hollis of Michigan State, ending up in Detroit as the next president and CEO. So that was it. That's all I really wanted to share with him. Maybe be kind of cool, I guess, to have him, be part of Detroit sports. And I mean, it's not like he's a bad dude. I mean, he knows his stuff. He's a business dude. He knows what he's doing. And I think at the end of the day, I think that's what I appreciate the most from Rod Wood is when he came in, Eric. I mean, you remember this, I'm sure. Yeah. He had no experience in football.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I saw yesterday in reading about Rod Wood retiring was that the Detroit Lions don't necessarily need someone with football acumen to be their president. This is more of a marketing and dealing with the league type of a role. It's less your fingers in drafting or coaches or any of that kind of stuff. This is more of a dealing with marketing and the stadium and all that kind of stuff. So I've heard Mike Disner's name thrown around a whole bunch of times. A bunch of people think he should be the next president. But man, 10 years with Rod Wood, and from the beginning, Rod Wood down at 222. Man, the guy was like oil and water with a lot of Lions fans. We have 2 good seasons and he jacks the prices up. And I tend to think that Rod Wood forgot that for all those years, the Lions were really, really bad. I mean, you couldn't keep ticket prices halfway decent for a couple of seasons.
Well, I mean, I get
Rod.
I get where you're coming from, but I mean, as someone that's been around season tickets for 28 years, they didn't hike up prices for the longest. I mean, prices were extremely low for a long time. And look, I'm not happy about it either, but the thing is, I think that's more of a organizational effort, not just a Rod Wood effort. That when they raise ticket prices like that, I think it goes well beyond just the president and CEO. But there's a couple of names being floated out there as well. One you already mentioned, Mike Disner. The other one, Chris Spielman, is his name has been mentioned. And I mean, I know he's done some really great stuff, especially when he started his wife's cancer foundation. I don't know about his business background. I mean, obviously, former football player, he knows the football side of things. And I guess I got to ask the question because I don't know where this came from. But somebody had said yesterday that Rod Wood should have stayed in his own lane. And I don't remember even who said it, where it came from. Yeah. What does that mean? Is there something that I missed about? Did something happen with Rod Wood? Did he try to interject what the Lions are going to be doing as far as free agents or drafting or something like that? I mean, is there something going on that I missed? Does anybody know?
I've never heard that. Well, I think my biggest complaint with Rod Wood was promises that were not kept. And what do I mean by that? He talked about all these upgrades that they were going to do to Ford Field that never happened. Such as the Wi-Fi. They put all this money, millions of dollars into the Wi-Fi in Ford Field, and you can't even connect on game day. So that was my biggest complaint, was that he said he was going to do a bunch of stuff inside of Ford Field, and the stuff never happened.
Well, you mentioned Wi-Fi. I mean, I don't know what else they didn't do. I mean, they totally upgraded Ford Field. I mean, all the concessions
are to get on Wi-Fi during a game.
I'm not concerned about Wi-Fi. I mean, you got 80,000 people packed into 1 square mile. Of course, Wi-Fi is going to be terrible. I mean, there's really
other stadiums. Each section has their own Wi-Fi, and it works great. I go to other stadiums, and my Wi-Fi is just rocking.
Depends on where you're at. If you're inside, it's gonna work less. If you're outside, you're on your network. You don't need Wi-Fi in an outdoor
like
stadium.
In San Fran and Green Bay, it worked fine just because I had cellular network. But inside of the Colts stadium, Wi-Fi works fantastic. Inside of the Vikings stadium, the best Wi-Fi I've ever had in a stadium, period.
Well, their stadium's also 20 years newer too, so there's probably there's some major differences between
every section has their own Wi-Fi in the new Viking Stadium.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about Wi-Fi. I don't need to be on my phone while I'm at a game.
But they're always wanting to add to the fan experience, because if you keep your fans happy, they're going to come to the games. Otherwise, they're going to stay home and watch it from home.
Yeah, I don't know anyone staying home because they don't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it just helps for the overall experience on game day.
I don't know, man. I'm there to watch a game. You know, for media, for media,
like
we
some of these
for media we get our own Wi-Fi up in the box, so I'm not really worried about it.
Some of these other stadiums, they got it going on. Let me tell you, you have to sometime go to that new Viking Stadium. It will blow your mind how nice it is.
Well, I've been there. I've just never been there for a game.
Yeah, that's what I mean, for a game.
No, it's a phenomenal stadium. You're talking 20 years difference. You know, in the way that stadium is built, technology and everything else. They could absolutely, if they invested millions of dollars into Wi-Fi into Ford Field, then someone ripped them off. Yeah. Because I know building a Wi-Fi mesh system doesn't cost millions of dollars. It absolutely does not. I mean, that sounds like a government contract to me that, you know, you're just way overpaying just to spend money. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the next guy or lady. You know, on how they make their changes. But Chris Spielman was mentioned, and then Peter O'Reilly. He's a club business and league events manager, I guess, for the NFL. I guess a lot of. Let me read this. So a lot of times these types of jobs are filled by people who work within the league. O'Reilly oversees the NFL sponsorships, revenue growth, and the league's international growth, among other things. He then he works hand in hand with every team in the league and has been a big part of the NFL's brand growth in commercial strategy. I would immediately say no to this one. One, why would you leave the NFL to go work with a team? How does that make any sense? You're probably making way more money working with all 32 than you are working just with one team. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't make any sense to me. The position sounds good though. I mean, where he's coming from and what he's in charge of sounds great. And then there's Catherine Raish, the Browns assistant general manager and vice president of football operations, has a ton of background in the league. And before her time with the Browns, she was the vice president of football operations for the Eagles before the NFL. She was in the CFL as the director of football admin for the Toronto Argonauts. This one's interesting. Could you see a power woman duo, right?
I love it.
Hamp and Raish knocking it out. I love it, man. Yeah, I think so too. I think that'd be great.
Well, and the guy we had before, Tom Lawand, he was with us forever. And seems like Rod Wood
Bob
was
Quinn,
it seemed like he was here a lot longer than 10 years.
He was with Bob Quinn, right?
Yeah, just 10 years just seems like a long time. 11 seasons. Yeah, and this is what Rod Wood wrote yesterday. I want to thank the Ford family and ultimately Lions fans everywhere for trusting me to lead the Detroit Lions for the last 11 seasons. It has been an absolute thrill for me to lead this organization, and I'm proud of what we have accomplished over that decade plus. I am most proud of where I'm leaving this organization in the capable hands of team owner Sheila Hamp, general manager Brad Holmes, and head coach Dan Campbell. And that was from Rod Wood yesterday. So during Rod Wood's tenure, the Lions went 85, 85, and 2. So they have a 500 record under Rod Wood. Exactly 500.
85, 85, and 2?
Yeah. So 85 wins, 85 losses, and 2 ties. So isn't that a 500 record?
I think it is by the way that ties work, but then again, I think that they give a half a point or something like that towards a tie.
So
it could be a little above.
That's crazy that the Lions are 85, 85, and 2 in the last 11 seasons. That's nuts. And that includes, no, that doesn't include 0-16 because that was 2008. But oh my God, we had some bad ones in there. So these last 4 good ones got us to 500. Thank you, Rod.
Well, you know what? it is saying that it is exactly a 500 record. That's crazy. So a couple of things here in the chat. Cruisin', he is retiring. That's what was announced, that he is retiring, but he's going to stay on until they find a new president. I thought it was a little accelerated, or what's a better word? My words are escaping me today. It just seemed like it was abrupt. It was abrupt, and like, where did this come from? Yeah. Is he sick? Is there something wrong with him? I hope not. But he's like 64, 65 years old, so he's really young. I mean, we know the dude's loaded, so it's not like he needs to work. I mean, at some point when you make, millions and millions of dollars in your lifetime, you don't really need to work. People want to work. They enjoy what they do.
Yeah, he seemed like he liked his job too.
Yeah, he loved it, and I'm gonna kind of miss Rod, man. Every year he would come in and give us kind of a little breakdown on the springtime and what was next. All right, so Robbie says, Will, the NFL has been trying to sabotage the Lions. Call me a tin hat guy, but everything that's been happening seems like Detroit is under the fire from multiple angles. You left that wide open. I have no idea what we're talking about. What? Give me some examples. What's happening right now? What am I missing?
I don't know.
I mean, that we could blow that whole thing up into I guess multiple different questions or circumstances, or give me some examples. We'll try to talk about it today if we get a chance. Next up, let's get into, all right, Rod. So look, I gotta finish Rod. Rod, good luck. Appreciate you, everything that you've done. Like Eric said, we're 500 now. It's time for you to go. We need to bring someone in to get us to 750.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's take a next big step up.
I just want the next guy to be lucky.
Lucky.
That's all I care about.
Lucky.
Yeah, I just want luck. I want the ball to roll our way. I want injuries to go away. I want to win all the games and win the Super Bowl. That's all I care about.
All right, so I'm gonna give my, since someone already brought up tinfoil hat, I'm gonna give my tinfoil version of this. It's just a statement, right? It's not even a real opinion. I'm just gonna say it. Is Rod Wood getting shit canned, but they're not shit canning him? They're gonna allow him to retire because of the Kirby Joseph contract. Kind of had me thinking last night. I'm sitting down, I'm doing my top 50, which should be out today. I'm trying to get it done before I speak to Jeremiah today. That it made me really think that how much is he responsible for the contracts? As a president and CEO, you think he's responsible for everything. But how much was he responsible for that contract? And was something not done? Was something afoot with that whole deal? Did they not do MRIs? I don't even know if they even asked the question. And you know what? Since we're going to be at the Combine next week, I might just have to ask the question. It's probably going to put me on the hot seat with them right away, but I'm just going to ask the question. Did you do any sort of imaging before Kirby's contract? That's my question. I don't know.
It'd be excellent if we had the chance to ask a few questions to our coach and GM. That would be
that'll be Tuesday morning or Tuesday. That's when the coaches and GMs are available. I'm not sure who's going to be there, and I highly doubt we're even going to be in the vicinity to get a question in. Who knows? I don't even know how they do it. But when I think about what goes on in the media room, I mean, you've got 20, 30, 40 people in there, sometimes more. It's kind of hard to get a question in edgewise. And Solomon, who is the media guy for Detroit, I think from the way I understand it could be wrong. They kind of pick and choose who's asking questions that day, and I'm not sure why. But you kind of hear them get announced, or they'll come out and say, "Okay, you're next," and then they're done. So I don't know. Maybe they have a short list, for who's asking questions that day. I don't know. It's pretty tough to ask questions some days. I get it. Let's get into the ESPN list. 2026 free agency best team fits for the top 50 players. I don't. Look, I think it's stupid. I think it's absolutely stupid. But here's the thing, Eric.
Yeah.
You tell us who they said best fits the Detroit Lions, and then I'm going to tell you why this is not. This should speak more volumes to what I've been saying for a long time. So why don't you tell us who they chose, number 38, the 38 top free agent in the league this year? Where does that person belong?
All right. So what they did is they took the top 50 in their minds, best free agents in the league this year for 2026, and they picked one team and only one team who is the best fit for that player. So here's the first example. Their number one free agent is edge Trey Hendrickson, and his best fit is the Indianapolis Colts. Okay. And then you go down the line, you got like George Pickens, the Dallas Cowboys, Tyler Linderbaum, they think it's the New York Giants. But then you go all the way down and you get to number 38. And through the first 37 players, they do not pick the Detroit Lions as the best fit for any of the top 37 players. But you get to number 38, and it's an edge, and his name, well, let's go through this first. Before I tell you who it is, the Lions had 16 sacks on third down last season, tied for 15th in the league. So the Detroit Lions could add this player to elevate its sub package on the pass rush. This player had 5 sacks with the Bills in 2025, and he would fit well opposite Aiden Hutchinson with his speed to power production and the effort level to clean up late in plays. And this player is none other than oft injured Joey Bosa. So out of the top 50 players that are free agents, the only one that they picked to be the best fit for them, for the Detroit Lions, was Joey Bosa at edge. And I 100% say no to Joey Bosa. What do you guys think? Would you guys want Joey Bosa on our team? Are the Detroit Lions the number one fit for Joey Bosa?
Eric, I think we have a pretty smart group in here. I know we have a really smart group in here.
Well, yeah, because they're saying Joey Bosa in the chat before I even said who it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, this name's been flying around. So what happens, Eric, and I know you know this, you're starting to get hip to this. I just put a poll up. I'm just going to put his name, yes or no, Joey Bosa. Here's what happens.
100% no.
Here's what happens in today's content creation world. You see, other people put out stories. They write articles. ESPN puts out these things, and CBS puts out those things, and Fox. So what content creators do is they go to these things, and then they gravitate on one of them, and then they create a video about it, and then they start running with the rumor, right? They start creating the rumor. And then another person jumps in, and then they give their take and their spin on it. And before you know it, by the end of the day, 50 people have talked about the same thing. It's now gravitated into the algorithm, and it's just spinning. So anytime you go throw Joey Bosa's name in there, you're going to get some clicks, right? Instead, what we do here is we rarely talk about other people's stuff, and we try to bring our own energy and our own flavor and our own spins and our own topics, because that's what media does. I don't want to be like everybody else, but in this case, we got to talk about it, and we got to put it to bed. Here's the reason why I say we got smart people in here. I know for sure that they know how injured this guy has been. And if you're worried about a guy by the name of Marcus Davenport, then you better start worrying about Joey Bosa. The difference is about $9 million. That's the difference. So if you're willing to pay Joey Bosa about $9 million to play 30% of the snaps, then you better just bring Davenport back. I'm gonna say something that somebody else said. They said that if Brad Holmes brought in Marcus Davenport, he should be fired. This is what I'm going to say. If Brad Holmes brought in Joey Bosa, he should be fired. Absolutely. Because we're trying to move forward, right? We're not trying to go backward. and you don't bring in a guy that's going to play 30% of the snaps, who, to your point, is oft injured. How injured? Here, take a look at this. I mean, that just looks like, I'm out at the range. Those are the kind of hits that I make. Number 3, typically. But this guy is a very high risk. 94% chance of injury in 2025 last year. Was he injured last year? Does anybody remember if he got injured last year? Oh, wait. May 8th, 2025. He had a leg calf pull. He missed some time at OTA's minicamp, per Sean McDermott. How about an inguinal hip bruise in 2024? How about a lower lumbar sprain or a pull in 2024? Or a hand-wrist fracture in 2024? Pedal foot sprain in 2023? Inguinal groin tear in 2022? A head concussion in 2021? Another pedal ankle sprain and pull in 2021? Another concussion in 2020? Another concussion in 2020? Another pedal foot bruise in 2018, and again in 2018, cervical neck sprain in 2016, dislocated finger in 2016, and a hamstring strain in 2016. No, thank you, I'll pass. Absolutely, I will pass.
Well, it looks like he was kind of healthy in 2025. He played in 15 games, had 29 total tackles and 5 sacks with 5 forced fumbles. That is not very much production. And for the money you would have to pay him because of his name, I just don't think it would be worth even Davenport money.
Yeah, if you give him $2 million or less, okay, then do it.
Davenport money, I'm fine with it, but anything more than that, no way.
$2 million or less. But here, I want to bring in some comments from yesterday's video because, and this is hilarious to me. I got to find it. It might take me a brief second here, but just bear with me for a moment.
All right,
just bear with me here because this is the kind of stuff that I don't know why I don't know why people say the things that they do from zero basis of fact. And while I'm looking at this up, please go through the comments real quick.
Yeah, so Cake Man, W1 or WF1GG, he's been a member of the Lions faithful for 17 months now.
That
must have been right from the very beginning. And he wants to say shout out to Uncle Kev.
Who's Uncle Kev?
I don't know, but shout out to Uncle Kev.
Who's Uncle Kev?
Unc Kev. I don't know,
but Cake Man, appreciate you, love you, man. I appreciate you being around for all this time. I think 17 months is around the time that I opened up the membership.
That must have been the beginning. I don't know how to I don't know how to see how long.
Well, I think and I don't know how these pop up. I don't know if that pops up on your device, and then you can post it. I think that's how it works. I've never seen one because I'm not.
Never told me anything.
I'm not subscribed to anybody.
I know I was one of the first ones.
Oh yeah, you and Trace and a handful of others absolutely were.
I was a day oneer. Might have to cancel my subscription so I can pay for all these teeth.
Right.
Yeah. So I wasn't on the last 2 days.
Just pull them all. Just pull them all out.
Yeah. I want to eat with gums.
Just pull them all out, man. Just throw in some dentures. Call it a day.
Yeah. So that's why I wasn't on the last 2 days. I had some surgical, dental stuff going on. Still got a bit more to go, but in my 50s now and getting my teeth all fixed from when I was a teenager and didn't take care of my teeth the right way.
I'm just going to get implants if I got to go through it. I know that since I've been going through the, everything post cancer with all these, things that, like, I never realized your thyroid can affect your teeth, right? And all of your metabolic stuff can affect your teeth. And I've started to have some issues now. Like I've never had braces. I've always had perfect teeth my whole life. Everyone thought that I had braces. And now, at 45, I'm starting to have issues with my teeth. I guess I've had a good run, but I'm not looking forward to a $30,000 bill to go get implants put in. because I'm gonna pull the Matthew Stafford, right? He just popped up one day with a beautiful smile. Those are all fake teeth.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't find this. I don't know why I can't find this, but the comment kind of read like, it kind of read like, okay, so you don't bring back AQM, you bring in a guy like Bosa, who can give your team a better opportunity in the pass rush, and then said that the reason why is because AQM sucks against the run, but he's decent against the pass rush. He's more of a third down guy. And then that got me thinking, do you know who Joey Bosa is? Because it's the same damn player. Joey Bosa's run defense grade was a 54.6 last year. So
Now,
make it make sense that you don't want to bring back AQM because you feel like he's only going to give you 40% of the snaps or whatever it is. He's not an every down player. The Lions really don't want an every down player. If you remember, Davenport was supposed to be the starter. AQM was the backup. He was the rotational guy. He was the guy that was going to come in sub packages. Yeah. Now, the Lions don't want to have sub packages where you have to remember, okay, who's in, who's out, and making all those changes throughout the. No team really wants to deal with that. If you can have an every down player and then your backups be an every down player, that's great. Of course, you would love to have someone that's just a pass rush specialist. I did. I mean, I liked James Houston and what he was able to do because he brought a ton of energy off the edge when he came in on the downs that you needed him to be in on the pass rush downs, whether it was first, second, or third. Again, depending on the situation of the game. But what they mentioned in this article, Eric, this is what has me, I guess, a little bit livid.
Yeah.
It says the Lions had 16 sacks on third down last season, tied for 15th in the league. Well, let me just ask the question because I don't know the answer. I'm going to find out today. How many sacks did Joey Bosa have on third down? Okay, that's question number one.
Yeah.
Question. My statement of the day on this whole situation is this: how long have I been saying sacks don't matter unless they happen when?
On first and second down.
No, on third down. That is when they matter, right? So third down, the down that gets you to punt the ball away, that is when the sacks matter.
I love it. I aced the question.
No, you did that shit on purpose. The thing for me is simple. If we have a problem with third down sacks, it's not the person on the other side of Aiden. Yeah. It's not. It's the guy you're paying $181 million to. Stop. People want to make and say that we're making all these excuses for Brad Holmes. Stop making all these excuses for the guy that just got a second team All-Pro for not getting any sacks on third down or very few. It is what it is. And I'm not hating on Hutch. These are the facts that we have to deal with as fans. If you want to throw out some names and some numbers and you say that Brad Holmes is bad at that and the Lions need to get better at this, well, then you have to take all of the information and accept it. The Lions don't have an issue with sacks. They finished, fifth in sacks last season? And more so, I mean, yeah, the run game fell apart, and that's the large reason why it fell apart is because we didn't have a secondary. So the other comment that I had was something about you have to secure the D-line first, that the D-line is most important. Here it is. It says, sorry, it starts up front, always has, always will. No ifs, ands, or buts. Butts has two T's, by the way. And then it says, I'm just kidding. Our D-line was bottom of the league in time given per pass. So everything that everything after that is secondary. So to fixing the D, you are asking your secondary to cover longer than anyone. So no thank you with Epinesa. He doesn't move the needle. Get a DE that requires teams to pick their poison and not able to double or triple team Hutch on the money downs. Hope that McNeil returned to form Fix the interior O-line, which was terrible, and if Decker is gone, you better get a good left tackle, end quote. Well, here's the problem with this comment. Sorry, it starts up front, always has, always will, and you're giving the D-line has to, the D-line is finished in the bottom of the league, so everything is secondary to fixing the D. You're asking the secondary to cover longer than anyone else. Well, the Lions played a few teams last year, if you don't remember, that required them to do what on defense? Play contain. And when you are in containment style of a defense, it does take longer. You are not rushing the quarterback. You are trying to contain the quarterback. And when you contain the quarterback, or if the quarterback is scrambling because you are getting after the quarterback, then the time to throw is extended. It is a number that you really have to understand what happened in the game and what's happened throughout the season to understand what it means. If you look at the number and you've never watched a game in your life, you would say, yeah, our secondaries are giving the quarterback too long to throw because they're protecting too well. So you're making the quarterback hold and pat the ball. Then it would mean that our D-line's not getting home in time, right? The other question or the other statement to come out of that or arises from that would be, well, Aiden Hutchinson, his average sack time is almost 4 seconds. That's a problem. And it's not because he's doubled or tripled any more than anybody else. I went through those numbers. AQM was doubled 1.2% less, a whole 3 snaps more than AQM. 3 snaps. So tell me how AQM was able to get 10 plus sacks. He didn't have a problem with the doubles or triples, and Aiden doesn't get tripled that much more than anybody else. Like that number was less than 1%. He gets chipped a lot more, but if you can't beat a running back or a tight end, that's a problem. You should be blowing up those guys, and he's not. So this is less about not fixing the secondary and adding another defensive end on the opposite of Aiden. You have to look at the other side first. And then as far as the secondary, if the quarterback's holding the ball, that means your secondary is doing pretty good. Or you're in a containment zone and you're not getting after the quarterback. So take all of the information to make a decision or to give an opinion. We can't bury ourselves on just one stat. There's more to it. And that's why stats are surface level. And watching the film after the game, rewatching the plays is the most important thing any fan could do or any analyst could do to really shape a really good opinion as to what maybe the Lions need to do this year. But to bring in Joey Bosa, who's oft injured, who's not going to do anything to help us on third down. The Lions don't want just a third down guy. And you're not going to pay $9 million when you don't even have any money anyway. No way. And 76% of the people in here say no way too.
But hasn't Joey Bosa always been in a 3-4? Because I'm pretty sure with the Chargers, he was with a 3-4.
I think so. In the 49ers. Wasn't he with the 49ers?
And then with the Bills, I'm pretty sure the Bills run a 3-4. Or are they a 4-3 hybrid?
Let's see. He was with the Chargers. He never played for the 49ers. I was thinking of his brother, I think.
No, he played for the Chargers. I thought he was with one
Chargers. Chargers the one season with the Bills.
Yeah. But the Chargers were a 3-4 when he was with them.
3-4 for sure, yes. Yeah. And then in the Bills,
I just didn't know what they ran with the Bills.
Let me pull up my sheet. They ran both. So they went from a 4-3 to a 3-4 last year under Jim Leonhard.
Okay.
So that would make sense as to why the Bills brought him in. Because he fits that scheme. He's more of an outside linebacker than anything. He's not a 3-4 defensive end. He's not big enough. He's not big enough. As a matter of fact, let's look at his size real quick. I know he's not big enough.
Yeah. He's more of that linebacker
I mean, I guess you could put him up.
edge
Go ahead. Sorry.
3-4 kind of guy, isn't he?
Say that again.
Isn't he more like the 3-4 linebacker versus an edge?
He's probably a hybrid of both. It depends on where his playing weight is. I mean, he's anywhere between 260 and 280. If he's 280, you could put him up on the line as a 3-4. If he's 260, he's going to be more off-ball linebacker. That's the difference for me. Is where's his playing weight today? Because I've seen him fluctuate between both. I would say that his heavier years, he was up on the line more. He's 6'5". Let me look at his combine profile. Let me see what he was when he came in. And it doesn't matter if he's coming from a 3-4, then he would definitely be a specialist. When he came into the league, he was 6'5", 269. That's I mean, he's got decent height. He's got good size arms, 33 3/8. He's got big hands. I mean, he's got a better frame than what Aiden really does. But I would say that he's more, when he's at that weight, he's kind of smaller. 6'5" at 269, he's a little bit spread out. I mean, he could do it all. I mean, he could do it all. It just depends on what you're trying to use him for. But in a 4-3 base defense, you probably want a guy that is more 6'3", 6'4", 280, 285. The Davenport side, the can crusher side. That's what the Lions roll with. They want that edge setter. They don't want a guy that's just getting after the quarterback all the time. They want an edge setter so they can stop the run. Look at when we had the best run defense grades over the last 3-4 seasons. When was that? 24, 23, and 22. Who did we have on the outside? John Kaminsky, Pascal, Levi when he played. Not guys like Joey Bosa. If you want a really good run defense, you need guys that are good against the run. He's not good against the run. He's historically terrible against the run. It doesn't fit. And I don't want a third down guy at $9 million eating up all the cap that we don't have.
Yeah.
I just went through this last night. Eric, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the video, but
I did not.
Okay, so let me break down what I did last night. Real quick.
To set it up, yesterday the Kansas City Chiefs did a restructure with Patrick Mahomes, and they freed up about $45 million in cap space. And so that begs the question, could the Detroit Lions do the exact same thing with Jared Goff?
And the answer is yes, they could. The bigger question is, will they, and how much do they need to do? So I prefaced yesterday's video by saying that, you've got $102 million potential with Brad Holmes and in a restructure this offseason. And you also have to look at what they were doing as to why they didn't spend any money at the trade deadline when a lot of people wanted us to spend money, which you might as well just throw the money up in the air or burn it, or the draft picks. You might as well just throw it up in the air and burn it because you're injured beyond repair. Again, the second year in a row, and you're asking your GM to go into the trade deadline and go buy all these expensive players for what? It was highly unlikely that the Lions could have made it to a Super Bowl last year, even if they made it into the playoffs. Tell me how we would have gotten through the Patriots or the Seahawks defenses with our offensive line. Let's be honest here. Let's just be fully transparent, honest. It was not going to happen. Okay? And in 2024, there was no way in hell it was going to happen. Better offensive line, but you better score 50 points a game because that defense is going to give up 45 in the playoffs. That's what would have happened. And I think they did. Didn't they? Didn't they give up 45 to Washington or something like that? Yeah. It was pretty close to that. So yesterday, I go through what nobody really noticed, and maybe it's just me picking a little bit, but the Lions are picking at 17th this year. And when you look at how much the rookie contracts cost for the 17th pick, based on the picks that they're going to have the rest of the draft, and by the way, they should be getting a 6th round pick compensatory from Kevin Zeitler. They will have 3 6-round picks. That puts them right at about $11.5 million cap charge this year to sign their rookies. And then if you look at the dead cap hit right now, which is about 9.1615, somewhere in that range, add those two numbers together, and you get $20.6 million. Guess how much Brad Holmes is rolling over into 2026? $20.6 million. So the Lions are starting at net zero before the league injects, the $26 million that they're, projected to inject this year, which means the Lions are starting with $26 million before anything else happens. Before we release anybody else or sign anybody else, right now the Lions should start with about $26 million. If they were to release Taylor Decker, well, that's like a $9 million cap hit. That's not great. If you release them post June 1, I think that lowers the cap hit to right around $4 million for this year, and I think $4 million for next year, somewhere in that range, which would be better, for the Lions this season. So if you're starting with $26 million, that's all you got. And post the draft, you still have probably 10 UDFAs you're going to sign. That's a minimum amount of number. And then you have another like 20 guys that you have to sign to get to 90. Altogether, the cap charge won't be that expensive for those, bottom 25 guys. Maybe it's $10 million. Maybe. Probably not even close to that. But with $26 million, free and clear to sign anybody you want from free agency, is that enough? It's not. But if you're going to go out and sign guys like AJ Epinesa, even a Cameron Curl, those numbers can fit under $26 million. You're going to give a larger signing bonus. You're going to spread it out over 5 years. You might give him a 2 or 3 year deal. And AJ Epinesa might be $9-10 million. I think his number is grossly misstated. I think Kyle Pitts, if you're to bring a guy like Kyle Pitts in, his number is grossly misstated right now. Who is he? Who is he right now as far as what is his value? And I found a piece just this morning kind of talking about that, like who's overpriced and who's not. And I'll bring that in just a second. So Jared Goff, if the Lions were to do something like Mahomes just did with the Chiefs, you could free up $43 million in converting his salary to bonuses and spreading it out with another 2 years of void years. I don't know where, I had comments yesterday saying, well, then we'd be stuck with Jared Goff. You don't want to do that with Jared Goff. We'd be stuck with him for the next, 5 seasons. That's not how it works. If you do a conversion, his contract is still his contract. You're just converting his money to signing bonus. You're not extending him. And this is the thing that, again, it boggles my mind that people say the things that they do when they don't know what they're talking about. Let me find exactly what was said so that we can walk through it.
Yeah.
He says, restructure Panay and Saint. I hope they do not do Goff because we would be stuck with his ass for 3 or 4 more years. Pay him this year and deal with that jacked up contract Brad Holmes gave him. And after that, we do not have to worry about his contract. Add Aleem into trade talks. The money is there to go get names. AQ wants big bread, but he is only a pass rusher and sucks against the run. There was the one that I was looking for when we're talking about Joey Bosa. If you want Joey Bosa and you don't want AQM, it's kind of the same player, but I think that AQM is a lot healthier and can play. I mean, the dude can flat out play. You put him in the right position to win, he can play. Here's the problem with this statement. If you convert Goff's salary to a bonus, his contract is still what it is. Let me bring it up so I can actually speak in intelligence. But you're not stuck with him.
No, and it's not going to affect how many years he is under contract for the Lions. It just means that if and when we get to a time that we want to cut or trade him, it might make it kind of funky to do so.
Okay, so next year, his salary is $54.6 million. In 2028, his salary is $61.6 million. If you were to take that 69.6 right now and convert it to signing bonus and turn his cap charge into, I think it's about it'd be about a $33 million cap charge. You would essentially be adding 2 more void years, which would end up in 29 and 2030, but his contract will still end in 2028. You're just going to be paying for Jared Goff through 2030. As opposed to how they have it set up right now, the Lions don't have any void years built into this for a reason. Why is that? Because they want to add those void years when they do a restructure. That's why. So the Lions did it smart. And you're not stuck with Goff. The potential out right now is after 2028. I think it's after 2020. No, I'm sorry, after 2027. And that'd be a 14.6 dead cap. That dead cap number would rise because you're kicking the can down a little bit. But I'll say this about Jared Goff. And Eric, you can back me up on this. He has outperformed his contract almost every year that he's been in Detroit.
100%.
Almost every year. When he came into Detroit, I think his contract was like $23 million his first year, and then it rose to like 26. And then I think maybe by his third season, it was 32, and then 32 last year, or 27 and 24, 32 last year, and now it's $69 million. He's been a top 5 quarterback every year but 2021.
Yeah, for 4 years in a row, he has been one of the top producing quarterbacks in the NFL. Doesn't matter what any talking head for any show says. Jared Goff last year was top 5 in MVP voting. This year, he was top 5 in stats. He just doesn't get the street cred because he doesn't run around. And he's not elusive. He's not a running quarterback. But like I've always said, I will take him in more of a Tom Brady-ish role, a pocket passer that doesn't run around like a chicken with his head cut off. I was watching a couple of plays of Patrick Mahomes yesterday, and he's like something off of an Xbox game. The way he runs around and, eludes tackles, and then all of a sudden he throws the ball up and scores a touchdown.
Well, okay, so what you just described is why you see more time to throw sometimes in the games that the Lions played last year, because when you're scrambling, the clock is still going. But just because you're scrambling and then you finally go down, that's still added time to pocket, right? Pocket time for the quarterbacks in the pocket, or the quarterback is scrambling, extending the time to throw. And honestly, if I were to, I'll pull this up in a minute when you go through a topic. I'm going to pull up the time to throw numbers. We'll see exactly where the Lions ended up, last season. But at the end of the day, the video yesterday really described what can happen. And I would advise to go watch it if you haven't, because I bring in a lot of visuals and kind of go through what would happen, how it could happen. But adding 2 void years to his contract doesn't mean you're stuck with Jared. It doesn't mean that you can't walk away from him. It doesn't mean that you can't cut him or release him or trade him. All of that stuff is still available. Like, Jared Goff's not getting any younger. It's highly unlikely that Jared Goff is going to end up with another team. And if he does, Jared Goff doesn't strike me as the guy that is going to just be like a 1-year wonder with the team and float around the league for 5 or 6 years on 1-year contracts. That he doesn't strike me as a guy like that. I think that when Jared Goff runs out of his contract and he's kind of done in Detroit, I think he's done. I don't see Jared Goff playing another 10 years. What is he going to be this year? 32 or 33? He'll be 32 when the season starts, or just shortly after the season. If Goff plays another 4 or 5 seasons, I would say that that's it. I don't see him playing until he's 40. I mean, maybe he could surprise me, but I think he's too, this is a bad word. I don't think he's egotistical, but I don't think that he wants to be somebody's second. Like, I don't think that he wants to be a backup. I don't think that he wants to be a what if 1 year, memory. Jared Goff doesn't strike me as that kind of dude. He's financially secure for the next 10 generations of his family. So he's good on that spectrum. And I don't see it lasting, until he's 40 years old. having Jared Goff as your quarterback for the next 5 seasons is not a bad thing. As long as he continues to play at the level that he's playing right now, it's not a bad thing. And next year in the draft, we might see where the Lions take a shot at a quarterback. Next year's draft is looking pretty good. And still, I don't want that quarterback hitting the turf year 1. I want that quarterback to sit for a year, if not 2. And I don't care if it's a first-round pick. I want him to sit. I want him to sit because I want them to learn and not just get thrown to the wolves. We'll see how that all shakes out. So if you do Goff, then the Lions have that $26 million, right? And then you add 43 to it. So now you're looking at $69 million. If they were to do Amon-Ra St. Brown, then that number balloons up to like 76 million. If they were to release Taylor Decker, that number will again balloon up to about 89. I think it was 89 or 94 million, somewhere in that range. So they could get to 102 pretty easy if they wanted to. Do they need to? I think that would be irresponsible. I don't think that they need to go out and free up $100 million and go out and sign all these guys in free agency. They have a quarterback. That's the most expensive part. They have their defensive end. They're not going to go sign a $30, $40 million guy. There's not really a left tackle available in free agency that makes a ton of sense. There is a center that makes a lot of sense. I could see him throwing $20 million a year at Linderbaum, potentially. And speaking of centers, by the way, Jake Slaughter is starting to roll up the board. Saw it last night. So my prediction on him is right. He's starting to roll up the board. I've seen him in the top 36. It can be done. Will it be done is the question. And if the Lions open up this much money in free agency, what is the downfall? The downfall is at some point, all these contracts go like this. And then you start to lose players. The Lions have a problem. And that is they have too many good players that they drafted too quickly. Oh, thank you, Brad. Signing 4 guys this year is going to cost them about... Here, let me just run it real quick. It's going to cost them about, at a minimum, probably $30 million in signing bonus money that's going to hit the cap this year. If they were to sign Jack, Jameer, Laporta, and Branch, it's going to be about $80 million in signing bonus money. You spread that out over the minimum of 3 years, that's about $26 million. You spread it out over 4 or 5 years, then it goes from 20, all the way down to like 17 million. So they need a minimum of 17 to 26 million to sign those guys to extensions. Well, there goes your 26 million bucks that you had. Now what are you doing? Who are you going to bring in? You still need to bring in some guys. They'll bring in at least 4 or 5 free agents this year. So that's where it goes. Any thoughts?
Yeah. And like earlier in the chat, somebody was talking about, did you see what they're offering Gibbs? 88 million for 4 years or 100 something million for 4 years. Those are all fake, right? Those are all speculation. Those are not what has actually happened. If Gibbs was getting a new contract, you would have heard about it already. Everybody would be talking about it. And I have a feeling the Lions are going to 5th-year option Gibbs and Jack Campbell first. And then you can kind of put their contracts on the back burner for a second and concentrate on Laporta and Branch because they're in the 4th year of their deals. And they have to be signed, I would think, first before the first rounders, which is kind of the opposite. Because you don't want to lose those 2 guys, and you still got another year with Jack and Gibbs, so you can kind of kick that can down the road if you really, really wanted to.
So a 5th round option on a 5th round option. I'm sorry, a franchise tag is what you're talking about, right?
No, 5th-year option for the first rounders.
Okay, so you have Jack and Jameer that you can do.
Yep.
I think that we've seen the Lions do that every year anyway. Like they'll fifth year option their first rounders, and then they'll try to get the deal done. And I think you just said this. Try to get the deal done within the same year. By the trade deadline is when we've seen them happen. But you don't have to do it then. You can run the fifth year option this year, and then next year you can get them done, before free agency or before the draft or really whenever the hell you want. You can get it done. It just buys them more time to be able to get a deal.
You saw it with JMO. You saw it with Aiden Hutchinson. The exact same thing. They fifth year option these guys, and then JMO was in the summer, and then Hutch was right
2 days before the trade deadline. Or on trade deadline day, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I would expect it. So that money's going to have to be put into escrow, and that money's also going to have to hit the cap. So when you run that fifth year option, something's going to hit the cap, right? You got to have that money available. The Lions don't have a bunch of money. They don't have any money really. They're going to have to extend. They're going to have to do something with the top contracts. And honestly, when you look at the top contracts, the only guys that even make any sense is Penei Sewell, who's getting $28 million this year, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's getting $33 million this year, and Jared Goff, who's getting $69.6 million this year. And then either retiring or releasing Taylor Decker. Those are the top contracts that make the most sense. Now, why have I been bringing up Demo's name in trade or trade? No, I don't think they'd ever just release him. It's for this reason alone. If you trade him, you bank $8 million in your cap. And if you trade him and you get a fourth round pick back for him, well, in this draft, that could be valuable. There's plenty of running backs in that third and fourth round slot right now. They could trade, if they got a fourth back for Demo, package it with a fifth or two, or a fifth and a sixth, they could move up into the third round.
Yeah, with 3 6th round picks, you can move all around the place.
Right. So 6th round picks aren't worth a lot, but if you package a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth, you can get into the third. Yeah. And if you get into the third, you can get my guy Washington or the guy from Penn State. And those would be amazing options for the Lions this year. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I want Demo to be traded. I'm just saying that when you play the real game of the NFL and not Madden, these are real problems you have to face. And unfortunately, you can't be attached to a player if you want to win a Super Bowl. And it's not to say that player couldn't help you. Of course they could. It's just how much better of a situation would you be in if you were able to get the next Demo of the future in the draft? Low cap, guy can produce instantly. Running backs produce instantly in this league. They don't need years of time. Right? They need a good offensive line. Give me the rock. That's what they need, if they're any good. Backs don't take time. DBs do. Right? Tight ends, same thing. Wide receivers, same thing. It's totally different for offensive players, offensive skill players, than it is for offensive linemen, defensive linemen, DBs. Those players take time. Anyway, let's take a quick break. When we get back, what's on the top of your list? We'll run through it.
I have something brand new that was not on the sheet.
All right, let's get to it when we get back.
Okay.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked. Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down again.
All right, Eric, you're up.
All right. Over under win totals for 2026 were released for all 32 teams last night. And starting over on the AFC side of things, the team with the best over under, the Ravens at 10.5 wins next year, followed by the Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, and Patriots, all predicted at 10.5 wins for next year. And then you have the Bengals, Broncos, Texans, and Jaguars all at 9.5 wins. But we're going to go over to the NFC side of things where it gets a whole lot spicier. So the number one team in the NFC for over under win total for the 2026 season is none other than the Los Angeles Rams at 10.5 wins, followed in second place by the Detroit Lions at 10.5 wins. So you can't tell me that even the NFL and the betting, DraftKings or wherever this came from, that they don't believe that the Lions aren't going to go from worst to first. They know that this Detroit Lions team is stacked and they are poised to go back and reclaim the NFC North. So the Detroit Lions have the second best odds to win 10.5 games next year at plus 110. And the Rams are plus 115. And then the defending Super Bowl winning Seattle Seahawks are also at 10.5 wins, the exact same odds as the Detroit Lions at minus 30 and plus 110 to hit 10.5 wins. And then you have the Packers at 10.5 wins with a little less odds to get there. Then you have the Eagles and 49ers also at 10.5 odds. Then all the way down in what you would technically call second place at 9.5 wins, you have the Chicago Bears, followed by the Buccaneers, Cowboys, the Vikings at 8.5, the Commanders, Saints, Giants, Falcons, Panthers, and Cardinals. And the Cardinals, they're over under on wins for next year, 4.5 wins. The Panthers, 6.5 wins. The Panthers just went to the playoffs. And then the Falcons, they have a new head coach in Kevin Stefanski. They are only at 6.5 wins over under total for next year. And then you have the Giants with new head coach John Harbaugh at 7.5 wins. The Saints at 7.5, the Commanders at 7.5, and then you get up to the Vikings at 8.5. So if you were to go by this right now, they're saying the Vikings are going to be in last place, the Bears are going to be third, the Packers are going to be second, and the Lions will be first. And it looks like, according to this, it's going to be the Lions and the Rams next year. So I'm very, very confident in the Lions turning things around with the fourth place schedule and having all of these superstars on this team that aren't going anywhere. We have the core of this team, and we had a little fall off last year, but we still had a winning record at 9-8. And this year, I think we're going to have no problem hitting a 10.5 wins.
You know, that should make fans, I think, a little bit more excited. Not so much what they're saying in that article, but more so about where the Lions finished last season. I know it was not the season that we wanted. It's not the season that we deserved, but put everything into perspective. Nothing was going right on the offensive line. Injuries left and right, miscommunication issues. The scheme was trash. Johnny Moe was a problem. The refs seemed to have it out for us in just about every other game. And you still finished 9-8 in what could have easily been a 13-win season. Could have been. Had you stayed healthy.
There was at least three games where we just kick a field goal or the refs don't screw us on the last play of the game. We win those games. You know, the Steelers game easily could have won that game. The Chiefs game, if that touchdown throw to Jared Goff counted, that is a totally different game.
Or the catch to Travis Kelce that didn't count or shouldn't have counted.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. So even if you'd had 3 wins, I mean, you're in the top of the North. You're headed, to the playoffs. But I'm not saying we would have done anything. I still think that we had too many issues and way too many injuries. Without Branch, without Kirby, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what people don't get about a secondary. There's a reason why the last few seasons when I said Brad's going to go deep in free agency and then in the draft to get DBs, he did. When I said we were going to take a corner in round 1, he did. When I said it was Terry and Arnold, it was. And their reasons are very simple. Building a roster is not about bringing in names. It's not. It's about building sustainability and having elite or future elite players at many positions. It's about having extremely good tier 2 guys at many positions in a depth, from depth and from a starting perspective. Brad's done an excellent job at sprinkling in elite players, but when you have 2 of your most elite players on the defense out, it's pretty tough to overcome that, especially when, your depth behind them are not as good as you would want them to be. Now, Harper, Thomas, and Avonte Maddox, Rocky Sin, all played incredibly well last year. I would not rest my hat on that. But there's a reason why secondary matters to me, and that's because without a secondary, most teams can't rush the quarterback. And if you think I'm full of it, well, there's a reason why the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks were in the Super Bowl. The number one reason, they had the absolute best secondaries in the league. And the Seattle Seahawks didn't have just 1 or 2 premier players rushing the quarterback. They had 6. So you make it make sense to me, Eric, why everyone thinks we just need 2 edge rushers instead of having a team that is put together extremely well at every level, at every position. And next, I want to talk about split safety coverage for a moment. I've been begging Calvin Shepard and Aaron Glenn through all the videos that I've done and all the morning shows to just do one thing different for me. And that is to quit doing so much single high safety. Put the Lions in a situation to win. The split safety coverage is exactly the reason why both of those teams did what they did last season. In an article by, let's see who did this. The Next Gen Stats Analytics team on February 18th. This is what they said. On December 6, 2025, the Seattle Seahawks sat in second place in the NFC with a 9-3 record. That day, they executed a transaction that, though it did not necessarily make waves across the league, it gave their defense an ironclad backbone, setting Seattle up to make a championship run. The move? Acquiring veteran safety Julian Love, who's been out since September with a hamstring injury, so from IR. Love made the Pro Bowl in his first season after signing with the Seahawks in 23 and finished 24 with an impressive counting stats. What does it say? And he finished 24 with impressive counting stats. I don't know what the hell that means. 3 picks, 12 passes defensed, 106 tackles. But his importance to Seattle went beyond that. He was clearly trusted by Coach Mike McDonald to cover half the deep portion of the field in his beloved Cover 6 scheme. From Week 14, Love's first game back through Super Bowl 60, the Seattle Seahawks played defensive concepts with both safeties covering deep zones, otherwise known as a 2-high or split safety coverage. In almost every workup that I did before a game last year, most of them, I wanted to see them in a 2-high safety show. And we didn't do it. And most of those games that we didn't do it, we lost. There's something to that. They were in split coverage on 54.8% of pass plays. That was the highest rate of any playoff team in that span, compared to a rate of 46% in the 9 games that Love had missed. Notably, though, Seattle won all 8 games after Love's return, allowing just 15.1 points per contest. That's insane. Love's most high-profile moment in Santa Clara was his Lombardi Trophy ceiling interception, which ironically did not come in split safety coverage, but the schematic approach that he helped make possible arguably keyed Seattle's dominant victory. And it gives us a good reason to dig into a shift that is reshaping how the NFL's best defenses are built and run: the rise of the split safety coverage. The most common coverages throughout the NFL for many years have been cover 3 and cover 1. These are known as single high coverages, in which just one safety drops deep and attempts to deter passes over the top, while the other plays closer to the line of scrimmage, usually in that robber role like Brian Branch, to disrupt the run concepts and shallower route options. In the 2018 season, when Next Gen Stats first started tracking coverage, split safety looks were mostly limited to obvious passing situations in which defenses were wary of the deep ball, with split safety coverage used on just 32.9% of dropbacks. In almost every season since, the league has incorporated it more frequently. The coverage concept climbed to a usage rate of 37.8% in 21, increasing to 40.4% by 2024, and reached its apex of 42% this last season in 2025. And while 42 teams from 2018 to 2024 held their usage rate of too high coverage under 30% in any given season, an average of 6 per season. Every single defense exceeded the 30% threshold of 2025. Now, there's a I hate these graphs that they do. There's a graph here. It goes from 2018 to 2025 on the bottom. And then on the left side, it goes from 10% all the way up to 60%. Here, let me just throw it up on the screen. I'm going to have to fix it, though. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, again, I have been vehemently just disgusted with single high safety. I think it puts your team in a disadvantage, and I think that you can disguise a lot more, or a lot better, I should say, in a too high. There's a lot more you can do with obviously the goal of rotating late. You can show it in the pre-snap, and then you want to rotate late post-snap, and that's what gives quarterbacks headaches. Matter of fact, the Vikings do that quite a bit, and in every game Jared Goff has trouble, it's when they're doing a lot of post-snap rotation. Oh, that looks terrible. You probably really can't see that, but if you follow this line, let's see if I can find where the Lions are. So in 2018, if you can see my cursor, can you see my cursor on the screen, Eric?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So if you follow my cursor, that is about 27% in 2018. The Lions used, where are we at? Split safety coverages. And then in 2019, it bumped up to about 28%. 2020, it dropped down to about 22%. 2021, it shot up to, I think we're about right here, closer to about 45%. And then back in 22, it dropped all the way down to about 32%. And then in 23, we bumped up a little bit to about 37%. 24, we were right about 33%. And then in 2025, it looks like we're right at the 40% mark. When did that happen, though? Right? That's the question. When did we go to more split safety looks? And the question is, and I'll do a deep dive into this. I plan on doing it in a video, breaking it down and going through it. But I can already give you an answer. When we lost Brian Branch and Kirby, and we had other injuries throughout the year, but our backups, when our backups were in more often, we were in more split safety coverage. We were not in single high as often. Now, Avonte Maddox was back there in single high a few times, but every time we were in single high, we would get torched. There's a reason why we were in single high more when Kirby was in, because they trust him at being able to navigate the back end of the defense. When he's not in the game, we're not doing single high. We're still in man. We're in a little bit of man under zone, and I would say that they couldn't trust who they had on the back end to roll single high safety. But running a split safety look gave them more comfort, if you will, because they had, only 50% of the field that they had to worry about, not the entire back end. The split safety coverage, there's 2 or 3 primary iterations really of the 2 high coverage. There's cover 2, there's cover 4, and cover 6. The classic version, which everybody runs, is cover 2. The Lions do run cover 2, in which the safeties cover half of the field and then underneath portion is split into 5 zones. Or occasionally it's filled in through man-to-man, which is what the Lions do. So they run cover 2, man under, right? And the cover 2 is not seen as much of a spike in usage as the other split safety concepts have, cover 4 and cover 6. It was played at a rate of just 13.9% this season, which is just above its average of 13.2 from 2018 to 2024. The version that did see the largest increase was cover 4, also known as quarters. Now, Jared Goff loves quarters. Jared, if you remember that long, it was about a 55-yard touchdown that J-Mo had. Remember that? That was against man match quarters. Is what that defense was. Anytime you see that defense, you know that J-Mo's going to run a deep route. And it's just because they can't hang with them. And they're spread across the field. So there was no ability to bracket over top, on that situation. So it depends on the team, right? It depends on your matchups. But quarters, if you got the right receiver, you can beat it almost every time. But if you run this the right way, you can see why Seattle was able to do what they were able to do, and so is New England. But they're bringing these guys in, to rush the quarterback. They're using them heavily in the run game. You have to have the right guys. Cameron Curl, there's a reason why I want him in Detroit. That dude is one of the best against the run. One of the best. And there's others that I like too, but his coverage is really good too. Kirby, he's a ball hawk. I feel like that's all he's on the field for half the time, is just to track the ball and go get it. I don't think he's that great against the run, and I don't think he's that great in coverage. I really don't. I think that he's played well when he's used to do certain things, but I feel like he doesn't get his share of blame for the defense and the passing defense when he probably should. But the reason why he doesn't is because when you're in a certain scheme, if that ball goes to this side of the field and it wasn't his responsibility, he's not going to get the negative marks for it. But anyway, I'm going to put this into a video. I'll break it down and I'll go a little bit deeper as to why the split safety is probably the best way to go. But in Spagnuolo's defense, they were one of the first defenses in the next gen stats coverage tracking era to use the split safety as a primary concept. Go look at their defensive pass ranks, and where they've done well is when they utilize that split safety more than any single high safety concept. If you look at, there's another graph on here that's just Vikings and just the Chiefs at the top of the board every year. Running blitz rates out of split safety coverage. Those are the things that I want this defense to do. I want them to use more disguise, but I also want them to use their DBs in a way that gets after the quarterback. Less defensive end. And you're starting to see that transition a little bit more. But if you can bring a safety in or drop a corner in, it doesn't matter what the defensive end does. Let them double up. Let them triple up the defensive ends. When you have a free fire safety or a corner, things change, right? You then have the odd man out that's able to get after the quarterback. This article goes on forever, and there is a ton of information in it. And since I'm not going to explain it all to you today, I will do a video at some point. I'm going to drop this into the chat so that you guys can read it later and go through it, and that way we can have a good conversation about it another day. Anyway, what's next for you?
Oh, let's see. You want to talk about Kirby Joseph for a minute?
Might as well.
All right. The Detroit Lions safety Kirby Joseph raised eyebrows Tuesday afternoon after he shared a photo to his Instagram story that appeared to show his knee undergoing needle-based treatment, commonly associated with acupuncture or dry needling. I put a link to the picture there if you want to pop it up, if you're able to. And I think Kirby is trying everything he can to fix that knee. I wonder what the results of that are with what he has wrong with his knee and why he would be doing acupuncture for his knee. Now, I've seen a couple people say that his knee looked swollen, and one person's like, "Where's his kneecap? His kneecap's gone." But I think it's just the angle of him laying on his back.
No, it's swollen, but I'll explain
Yeah.
why in a minute. Well, it's definitely swollen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's swollen. Anyway,
this
keep
is-
going. I'm going to try to get this loaded.
This is current from yesterday. So if he's still having trouble now, and he's been off of it basically since week 6 of the season, that's 4 months that he hasn't had to run around and play too much on that. I know he was trying.
It's not injury swollen. So let me throw that out there.
Yeah.
It's not injury swollen.
Okay.
It's treatment swelling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hold on here.
I just have to wonder what the chances are of Kirby Joseph playing in 2026. I wonder what the chances are.
So I get, and so you're right into that boat of, I mean, I can just tell by the things that you're saying that you think that, he's not going to be able to play, and maybe not understanding the needle-based treatment, I think, is a big part of it.
Yep.
Did the article say anything else about needle-based treatment?
No. This was just him. It's just basically, this was straight from Terry and Arnold, and it was just a picture of him dry needling, or acupuncture, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so what with dry needling, I've had it done once. Didn't care for it. I've also had plenty of EMGs. If you've ever had an EMG done and they stick those little needles in you like that, they're kind of the same style of a needle that they dig right into the muscle. And so what dry needling does, it's to help relieve pain, and whether it's chronic or acute pain, and it helps to relieve that pain to help with range of motion. And kind of treat that musculoskeletal or the neuromuscular issues that could be present there around the knee. It's also a way of reducing inflammation by causing inflammation. His knee is swollen. And I would say it's swollen because he's getting pricked everywhere. And his legs also flattened out by that, by that blue chair or whatever he's sitting in. So he's pretty well flattened out. You know what I mean? The good news is when you look at his knee, I don't see any big vertical scars. I see some scarring around the top of his knee, but that's probably just from football, helmets and shoulder pads hitting his knee. I don't see a vertical scar, which means he didn't have any sort of surgery.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd see a vertical scar up his kneecap.
The article does go on to say a little bit.
Okay, so the thing about dry needling, what it really can help him with is prevention of future injury. Why or how, I don't know, but it's typical Chinese medicine practice, whether you acupuncture or dry needling, whichever way you want to talk about it or describe it, I guess. The Western medical approach is dry needling. The acupuncture is the Chinese method, and it helps with all sorts of things. So I did a little just search right now: tendonitis, bursitis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff injuries, trigger points, muscle knots, stiffness and spasms, neurological tension issues, headaches, migraines, sciatica, carpal tunnel syndrome, plantar fasciitis, pelvic pain, fibromyalgia, nausea even. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not saying go do any of this stuff. Neck, back, shoulder, hip, knee, and jaw pain from musculoskeletal issues. There's some good information on Cleveland Clinic's website. Talks about it. What do they do? How does it actually work? Well, they go all the way through. You go through the superficial penetration, goes into the epidermis, the dermis, the subcutaneous tissue, and then into the muscle. Or you go even further, and it goes a little bit deeper through the muscle to stimulate the muscle, or it trigger points on the nerve itself that's running, through the muscle. So very, very interesting process that he's going through. But you said, were you 50%? Is that where you said you were on him playing?
Yeah, I'm like 50% whether he's going to play or not.
This doesn't show me that he's going through injury right now. This shows me that he's trying to prevent injury, and he's doing continuation of treatment to help make this, this whatever injury he has better. The one thing that I would question here, though, is how is this going to help a cartilage issue? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
How is this going to help a cartilage issue? Because this is going to do nothing to help a cartilage issue.
Yep.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah, this little article about it says, while Joseph has not offered any additional context, the image immediately sparked questions about the status of his knee as the Lions move deeper into the offseason. Joseph dealt with knee-related issues during the 2025 season, and the treatment shown is often used to address lingering soreness, inflammation, or muscle tightness rather than a new structural injury. Dry needling is widely used across the NFL as part of maintenance and recovery programs, especially for players managing wear and tear late into the season. In many cases, it's preventative rather than reactive, a sign of careful workload management instead of a setback. Still, the timing is notable. With OTAs and minicamp approaching, Detroit will be monitoring Joseph closely. When healthy, he remains a key piece of the Lions secondary and one of the league's most productive ball hawking safeties. For now, there's no indication of a new injury or concern, but the post serves as a reminder that Joseph is still working through the final stages of recovery as he prepares for the 2026 season.
I'm really disgusted with how people respond to this. That's why I started going through the comments here.
Oh yeah.
So this Lions fan 6821. Yep, I'm calling you out. Don't know who you are. Says Kirby Joseph, put a profile picture up if you're a real man or woman or whoever you are, but Kirby Joseph is not man enough to play in the NFL, faking injuries since he was signed. Like, come on. First of all, you wouldn't even know that. Second of all, grow the hell up. How about this one? Oh, same person. Just cut that whiny ass, always injured baby. He'd rather be on the bench collecting millions than earning it on the field. I can't pronounce some of the words in this sentence, but all that knee snatching finally came back around. Watch, he breaks another person's leg in 300 days. Well, if you know what you're talking about, you know that he didn't break anybody's legs. And the hits were not illegal. He's done. Thank God we extended him. Well, can't do anything about that. I like this one. People, we are all human. Now let's give this man some love. Only blessing to you and whatever the outcome of your knee may be. Be the best you can be, however that is. Life is beautiful no matter how it plays out. Wish people would be accountable. Karma is real. It's a great statement, Philip Moore. Great statement. Great statement.
Even if he can come back and play 80% this year, and what do I mean by that? 80% of what he was and 80% of the snaps, well, that's a win-win for Lions fans, because even a Kirby Joseph at 80% is better than half the safeties in the league. So
I don't know about that, man. You're in your boat alone with that one.
He was a top 2 safety in the league in 2025 or 24.
Yeah.
Ivy fell off because of injury.
One season.
His first 3-4 weeks, he was tearing it up.
One season.
Yeah, but he started this season tearing it up, and then he hurt his knee, and everything went downhill. But that started all the way back in training camp. You know, seeing him in training camp with a big brace on his knee, and then he didn't play with it in the games, which kind of blew my mind. Why, if he had something going on in preseason, why didn't he keep that brace on the entire year?
Well, I don't think a brace is, again, it's not going to help. His brace is not going to help cartilage. You know, that's, and again, maybe we've been fed, you know, wrong information. And maybe there is not a cartilage issue. Maybe he's got something else going on. Maybe he's got, you know, rheumatologic disease. You know, maybe there's something going on there. Maybe he's got a muscle disease. You know, who knows?
Yeah, it's been all speculation about the whole cartilage thing.
You know, obviously I got hip to the whole cartilage thing too. When Dan, you know, Campbell said that there's wear in you know, you've got to do something, or you really can't do anything about the wear. You need to get it stronger. There's no strength that is going to help cartilage. It's the bone on bone. That's the problem. It's not like you can inject some foam in there and you know, you're good, you're healed. You know, that's not going to work either. You know, going back and kind of looking at his history, his overall grade in 2022 was a 64. 2023 was a 57. 2024 was a 91.3. That was his best year. 2025, I mean, he didn't finish the year, but 59.1. I thought he only had 3 interceptions last year, not 4. Did he have 4 last year?
Yeah, 4 through 3 games, I think.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. Look, it took him a couple years to get going. You know, he still had 4 interceptions in 23, and then in 2022 he also had, no, I'm sorry, let me back that up. 22 he had 4 interceptions, 23 he had 4 interceptions, 24 he had the breakout of 9, and then 25, you know, he had 3. He had 3 interceptions.
Yeah, and then he had 11, right?
No, he had 9. 9 and 24.
Oh, okay.
So in 22 he had 4. In 23 he had 4. In 24 he had 9. And in 25 he had 3.
Oh, okay.
Either way, yeah, he's a ball hawk. I think he makes bad decisions at times. You know, on where he should be, you know, which route he should be handing off of. And I'll never agree with anyone that thinks that he's like the best safety in the league. I think he's good. I think he's good when he has, you know, solid guys working around him. Him by himself in that single high safety look, I don't like it. I don't. I think that it does more bad than good. Next up, let's talk about some free agents. Again, I want to go through this quick list here on 8 players that could be misvalued. So when we look at bringing in some free agents this year, Eric, I think that a lot of us understand that it's expensive. No matter what players you're going to bring in, $3, $4, $5 million is expensive. It's a lot of money. I don't know why we are so enamored with these high price free agents. If you go look at the statistics, like if you care about the statistics, go look at the statistics between the top paid at that position, and then go look at the tier 2 guys that are making about a third of that money. And I think what you're going to see is the statistics are about the same. Now, you might have the outliers, like Myles Garrett's an outlier. You know, you're not going to get that kind of production out of just one player in that second tier range. But if you get 2 players, you could get that kind of production. You know, he's averaged about 15 sacks every single year. But it's more about the TFLs. It's more about the stuffs in the run game. It's more about being a complete deterrence, you know, for anyone to want to go to that side. That's what he does well. The sacks are just a big bonus. But there's been a name floating around, Malik Willis. Didn't you say you would like to see Malik Willis be a potential backup in Detroit?
Oh, I'd love it.
Really?
But, why not? But he's going to cost too much money.
Well, that's the question. Is he? The question is, the quarterback market in 2026 is not great. There are a few veteran options that offer much upside. Most are tried or are tired. The most are the tired trove that we've already seen for the last many years. Russell Wilson, Mitchell Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, and Kenny Pickett. I don't even know why Kenny Pickett's even mentioned here. The dude's hands are way too small. Add in the fact that the draft is expected to be very sparse. This is not a great year to find a backup quarterback. And again, why Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes brought in Hendon Hooker was because there has not been many great backup quarterbacks available. You have to do something, and that's why they took a shot at at bringing in Hendon Hooker, who should have worked out, but he just didn't work out. A former Titans third-round pick, Malik Willis, played pretty well in Green Bay last year. I think he played great after sitting.
The last 2 years.
Learning a few things. He completed 85% of his 35 pass attempts for 422 yards and 3 TDs in 4 games with 1 start. That's pretty impressive. He also showcased his ability to run, 123 yards on 22 carries with 2 scores. He looked leaps and bounds better than his scattershot early career struggles. He's a late bloomer. It's exactly why rookie quarterbacks don't work out. That's why you don't draft rookie quarterbacks and put them on the field right away. Now, was he the byproduct of a good offense under Matt LaFleur in a very small sample size, or is this the future of Malik Willis? What do you think?
I think Malik did not get proper coaching down in Tennessee. I can't remember where he was drafted. Was he drafted in the 1st or 2nd round?
3rd.
I know a lot of people were clamoring for him in Detroit.
3rd round.
For Detroit to take him.
3rd round, Tennessee.
3rd round. Okay, that was it. That was the year that all the quarterbacks went really late. And this kid, I was really against him when everybody wanted him to come to Detroit in the first place. And he just, I never had a good feeling for him. I never thought he was that great. I thought he was too small. Just relied on his mobility, and that was it. Never thought he had a great arm. But that was with Tennessee. And then he comes to the Packers, and the Packers gave up, a 6th or a 7th round pick to trade for him.
I don't remember.
Because he failed with the Titans. He just, they tried him as a starter. They tried him as everything. It didn't work out for them. He was a backup of a backup for Tennessee. So the Packers get him, and they're forced to use him for a game or two when Jordan Love went down last year. Well, he looked pretty darn good. And then this year, same thing happens. Jordan Love goes down again. Willis steps in, and Willis looks incredible. And according to a lot of Packer fans, not just me, a lot of Packer fans thought that Willis was better than their $100 million man, Jordan Love. And he did outperform Jordan Love in quite a few games. You have to wonder if they would have made a switch to Willis, if they would have won a few more games with Willis versus Jordan Love, especially at the end when they got to the playoffs. And now Willis is a free agent because his 2-year contract with the Packers is done. I would love to have him now as a backup quarterback in Detroit, but I want him as a backup, and I don't want our backup to constantly be the most wanted person to play in Detroit. I want our starters to play, but I want good backups in case something happens. And he's proved that he can be a great backup, but he's also proved that he can probably be a starter. And there's going to be a multitude of teams that are going to want a Malik Willis to start on their team. I can think of a few right now. the Cardinals, the Jets, and these teams have some money, and they're probably going to throw $20 to $30 million a year at the guy. I mean, you could give him the Justin Fields contract of a 2-year, $20 million per year contract and get Malik Willis. And Malik Willis is probably 10 times the quarterback that a Justin Fields is right now. Justin Fields was a horrible quarterback for the Jets last year.
He got benched. I mean, he got benched maybe a little bit early. Obviously, the Jets have some big problems. But I just gotta say this: he's not going to be a backup, and I think the numbers that you were just kind of spitting out, that $20 to $30 million range for Malik Willis could be legitimate. He could land with a few teams that are kind of quarterback needy to a degree. Do you bring him in to Miami? If let's say Miami hangs on to Tua Tagovailoa, but he's not really the answer. Tua hasn't worked out. His ability to stay healthy hasn't been great. He's suffered way too many concussions. You bring Malik Willis down to Miami, that gives you an option to then do something either with Tua, maybe you trade him at the trade deadline, or maybe you trade him before the season. Like I said, I've heard some rumors that Vegas is potentially looking to bring in a veteran to go along with Mendoza if they take Mendoza. I know a lot of people think that they're taking Mendoza, and all signs pointing to that with Tom Brady speaking to him. But that's all speculation too. I've heard Kirk Cousins could potentially be going out to Vegas, and Tua Tagovailoa, even Kyler Murray. All three of those guys have been mentioned. And it makes a lot of sense if you can bring somebody out there that has experience and maybe won't cost you a boatload. Maybe it will, but hopefully it doesn't. But Malik Willis makes a lot of sense out in Vegas. A ton of sense. If you can bring him out there on a $25 million a year contract, and maybe it's a 1 year with $15 million guaranteed, and you bring in your rookie, then you give your rookie an opportunity to sit and earn the job and beat out Willis. And it gives Willis an opportunity to fight for a starting job on a 1-year deal, and then you can walk away from him the next year if Mendoza is ready, if they do decide to take him. I'm not so sure that Vegas is going to take Mendoza. And I know that's crazy. I'm pushing against everybody on that. But the reason why is that number 1 draft pick is worth so much right now with the defensive draft. If you can go and trade back and still stay in the top 5 or 10, you're guaranteed a phenomenal player. And then you can also stack another first-round pick and another second or third-round pick on top of it. That's what would set Vegas apart, especially in next year's draft when there's going to be a ton of quarterbacks available, and a lot of them make a lot of sense in Vegas too. So I'm not so sure that Mendoza ends up in Vegas, and I'm not so sure that Vegas isn't open to the fact of trading back, just like the Jets. If Mendoza doesn't go number 1, the Jets will probably take him. But the Jets should be thinking about moving back too. They have pick 16. That second spot's worth a lot. There's no other quarterbacks really that make a ton of sense. And again, if you stay in that top 5 to 10, you're guaranteed a really good player in this draft. And then picking at 16, you'll be able to set up that team. And that's why I said 2 years for the Jets. Last season, I said they won't compete this year, but you give Aaron Glenn 2 seasons, and you watch what happens with the Jets. I think the Jets are going to compete this year. But I think that $20 to $30 million range is viable. I don't think Malik Willis is going to be a backup anywhere. And if he is a backup, he's going to be an expensive backup. Jamel Dean took a pay cut to stay with Tampa last season, and then he put on a smashing performance. He had a personal best 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, the first sack of his 7-year career, and 46 tackles. He enters free agency as the top corner on the market. Those guys usually get paid with a plethora of teams in need of coverage help. There could be a bidding war for his services, but the question is I guess his injury history. How does that tie into where he's going next? And how does that tie into his contract? So the veteran has yet to play more than 15 games in a season. He's missed 3 contests last year and also turned 30. That's pretty old in the grand scheme of the NFL to be looking at a big contract and securing a long-term commitment to a team. So the structure of the deal is going to be very important, as the NFL.com article states. If there are any significant guarantees beyond 2026, the contract could become what they call an albatross if his play falls off with his age. So is he overvalued? Is he undervalued? Is he going to get paid too much? That's the question. And then you have Kyle Pitts, who's really the player that I wanted to talk about here because, I've thought about bringing, Kyle Pitts to Detroit. What would that look like? How would it help the team? Especially if you're thinking, that Petsine wants to use a little bit more of that 13 personnel. But how does Kyle Pitts really fit? And initially I'm thinking he fits pretty well if you're looking for a pass catcher, especially in the wake of Sam Laporta's injury and you don't know what's going on there. And you need a third tight end anyway. It would be great to have another pass catcher. And in the torch play that I drew up, man, he would just be a free bird running down the field with the football, a few times a game. So looking at the franchise tag for Pitts, if they don't franchise tag him, which is about $16 million, then he's going to hit the market as the top playmaker at the position. The question is, which Kyle Pitts will the team be signing? Are you going to be signing the player who generated 469 yards and 4 TDs on just 39 catches over the final 6 games of 2025? Or are you going to get the inconsistent Kyle Pitts, who was drop prone, who had 459 yards and 1 score on 49 catches through the first 11 games of the 2025 season? Now, in the right system, one that uses him as a matchup target, or versus, and asks him to block less, versus the opposite, being more of a blocking tight end, then I think that he'll do just fine. But if he's in the wrong offensive system, a team that they could be, spending big time money on the number 4 overall pick and asking him to block a ton may not be what you want, especially in Detroit. And we know one thing about Detroit, Eric, and that is no block, no rock, as you said this morning. But for a tight end, your number one job is to block in this scheme. But this is a new scheme. So what if the Lions are willing to move on a little bit from you have to block if you're out there, and you put him out there to become a weapon, as opposed to, especially in 13 personnel, you're putting him out there to be a weapon. If you have Sam Laporta, if you have Brock Wright, and you are going to run the football, you can put those two on the field. You don't have to put Kyle Pitts on the field. But then he becomes a situational pass catcher, and that is much like a situational pass rusher. I just don't see it happening now. Something tells me that even though I think he would be, what I refer to as a skeleton key, can kind of unlock this offense a little bit more, it's more of a luxury pick, or pick up, if you will. And it may not be the best fit unless that contract is dirt cheap. If it's dirt cheap, under $6-7 million a year, then I'd say do it all day long. Even if it's up to $9 or $10 million a year, I would say do it. But the minute you go over $10 million, I think it becomes a problem. And there's other options that maybe are less expensive that the Lions could bring in. So what are your thoughts on Kyle Pitts?
Well, Kyle Pitts, I would say this. Even Isaac Tesla, J-Mo, Amon-Ra St. Brown, they all have to block downfield. And they are very proficient at blocking downfield on running plays. And they block for their other wide receivers when they catch the ball. So blocking is huge, huge, huge for this team, whether it's blocking someone on the line or blocking someone downfield. I think it's more blocking downfield. As long as he can do that, I'm fine. He doesn't have to be on the line, tight end, blocking a defensive edge on every single play, but he's got to be able to chip, and he's got to be able to block downfield a linebacker or a safety or a corner. That would be my only issue with Kyle Pitts, is if he can't do that.
I think the blocking thing is important. I think that in Detroit it's something that they're probably not going to waver from.
Yeah.
And
No block, no rock.
it is what it is, man. Even though I think that he would be incredibly, to use your word, proficient in the pass game, that's probably about it. He's not a blocker. He's not. He's a pass catcher. It's what he is. He's dynamic downfield. And that's what you got to use him for. Now, the Lions do need a linebacker. The question is that Nakobe Dean? Is there a potential that Nakobe Dean comes to Detroit? He's a former third-round pick. Incredible athleticism and playmaking that could get him paid this offseason. In 4 seasons in Philly as an off-ball linebacker, he proved that he could get after the quarterback, 7.5 sacks, and patrol the middle of the field. However, an extensive injury history is probably preventing this from landing in Detroit. Now, the defender hasn't played a full slate of games since 2017. He's missed 21 regular season games over the past 3 seasons alone and was out for most of Philly's Super Bowl run in 2024. Teams typically shy away from spending big money on players with long-term durability questions, but not Brad Holmes. He doesn't spend big money, but he's not afraid of bringing them in. So looking at this, eyes wide open, he's more of a 3-4 style of a linebacker, I think. Was he necessarily used that way in Philly? I guess that's to be determined by film. But we need someone that can patrol the middle of the field. We need somebody that has sideline to sideline type speed, which he does, and somebody that can get after the quarterback. Does he make sense in Detroit? I would say he probably does. The question is for how much. This is going to be like the Kyle Pitts thing. If Nakobe Dean is devalued because of his injury history, he's missed a ton of time. Well, they weren't afraid of paying Carlton Davis, who missed 23% of his regular season games, and they still brought him in and paid him, I think it was $10-11 million for a season. I don't think that they would be afraid of bringing someone in like Nakobe Dean if the money is right. Whether it's a 1 or a 2 year deal, I don't see them backing away from it just because of his injury history. Then again, maybe this free agency period will be different for Brad. Maybe he's going to focus on guys that don't have as much injury history, and maybe he's not going to focus on all of the, the high value, high upside type player, and he's going to look more to, a consistent player. Maybe he doesn't have as much value, but someone that's on the field. The problem with that is injuries are going to happen. And just because that player's been healthy doesn't mean they're going to stay healthy. So Nakobe Dean. Lions are likely to lose Alex Anzalone. How does Nakobe Dean fit for you?
He really doesn't. I'd rather stick with Alex Anzalone than go to Nakobe Dean, honestly. And according to this ESPN list that we were on earlier with the top 50 free agents and where they should land, or the one spot they think the Vikings is where Nakobe Dean is going to go. That the Vikings have cap issues heading into free agency, but they really like the fit for Dean in coordinator Brian Flores' defense. Dean, who had 4 sacks with the Eagles in 25, is the league's best blitzing linebacker, and he would join a system that led the NFL in blitz rate at 46.8% last year.
So that would make some sense. I mean, the Vikings run that 3-4 blitz heavy system. They drop 8, they rush 8. They modified that a little bit last year. They weren't doing the 8 and 8 as often. I think it was more like 6 and 7. But yeah, to keep him with a 3-4 style of a defense that Philly ran as well. Under Vic Fangio, it's like a modified 4-2-5 and a 3-4. It's Vic. It's just his defense. Same defense that's been around for 20 plus years. It just works. But he's definitely, I'm glad that you mentioned the Vikings there, because that's where it does make sense. I don't want him to go to the Vikings, but that's where it does. That's where it does make sense that he would stick around and play in a similar system. I know it's an epiphany, Eric, for people that players run in systems and play within systems. They think that all these players can just go to any team, or they look at the Broncos and they're like, oh, they have so many sacks. Why can't the Lions bring in that player or this player from the Broncos? They run a 3-4.
We'd have to scrap our defense. That's why.
That's why.
And a couple of the other free agents that you mentioned, Kyle Pitts, they said that Atlanta would be the best.
Well, that's where he's at now.
And that's where he's at. And then as far as Malik Willis goes, they said that the Miami Dolphins would be the best fit for him, since their head coach and their new GM both came from Green Bay, and they would know what they are getting. And all signs are pointing to either trading or cutting Tua Tagovailoa this season.
Okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Raw B says Quay Walker for the Detroit Lions would be a good fit with Jack Campbell.
No, 2 thumbs down. Absolutely not. Go fly a kite. Ain't happening.
All right,
Walker is the whiniest. I'm sorry, bitch. I don't want that. He is a cancer in a locker room. No, thank you.
He's definitely got some viral issues in the locker room, and he has a lingering issue too with injuries. Again, I think that the Lions are going to stick with their system, and I think that they're also going to stick with how they evaluate players. He's been vulnerable in coverage. It's an issue that has plagued him since day one. He's just not been great in coverage. And I think for the Lions, we need someone that is going to be great in coverage. He's as good as Alex Anzalone is at times. He was not consistent in coverage. I want someone better than Alex Anzalone, not worse. In my opinion, Quay Walker was not as good in coverage. Now, let me look at some PFF. I haven't looked up Quay Walker yet.
I would rather bring in the tackle from the Packers that they're releasing, or that's a free agent, than bring in Quay Walker. No way. That's one player. Robbie, you just picked one of my most hated players.
Well, so here's another question. Quay was a middle linebacker, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He wasn't a Sam. Right? I'm trying to think.
I don't want that type of player on my team. If I could, this has nothing to do with what he does on the field. This has
you have to do what he, you have to think about what he does on the field. Okay, as far as attitude, well,
look at all the penalties he gets. There's some on-field stuff right there.
Right,
that's after the whistle stuff and going after people and throwing a fit on the field all the time, and throwing a field all the way up the tunnel when you get kicked out of games, and throwing your helmet and acting like a whiny little baby. That's not the kind of player I want on my team.
So he's had discipline issues. Yes. I guess to use kind of a scouting profile, he's had some discipline issues early in his career, although he did kind of clean some of that up over time. It's been a consistent issue with his discipline. To your point, the stuff after the whistle. There's other areas that Walker's been consistently below average to: interceptions, forced fumbles. He does shoot gaps well, which he's much better in the run, I think, than other linebackers that could be available. He is better at boxing up the run. He's not a bad player. He's just a player that isn't lighting up the Christmas tree for me.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a ton of turnovers. He doesn't have a ton of tackles for loss. He's only had one career interception, 3 forced fumbles, and all of the forced fumbles came as a rookie. So he really hasn't done anything since. And then I guess, the areas of regression for him, without the interceptions or the forced fumbles in the last 2 years, his impact in the takeaway department are gone. I mean, it went from unremarkable to non-existent. Now, he does have 11 career sacks on his resume based on PFF numbers, but he was also less impactful as a pass rusher snap to snap in 2025, ranking in the 33rd percentile or lower in quarterback hurries and hits. Pass rush win rate and PFF's pass rush productivity metrics will tell you that. He also was arguably at his worst year in coverage last season. Despite the high number of PBUs, he did allow a passer rating of 122.9 in coverage. It ranks 79th out of 87 linebackers. Overall, I'd have to say that he's not someone that really stacks up for me. I could care less that he was a Packer. None of that matters to me. I don't care where anyone has played. It's like saying, well, they came from Michigan State or Michigan or Ohio State. I don't care. I don't care where they came from in college. I don't care where they played in the NFL. But I look at the player as the whole player. I think his previous issues with discipline, his non-existence in turnovers, his coverage issues are tremendous. I'm not liking it. PFF says 2025, he was the 74th out of 88 linebackers in overall grade. His run defense was 74th out of 88. His pass rush grade was 49th out of 88. And his coverage grade was 70th out of 88. All of those numbers overall, 48.5, coverage grade 44.9, run defense 54.5, pass rush grade 62.0. He had 3 sacks in 2025, 28 assisted tackles, 90 tackles overall. And I do want to look up his snaps by position and see where he lined up the most.
So I found something from Packers Wire. They're talking about how the Packers should not bring him back. And one of the things they're talking about is penalties. Penalties are his worst statistical category, with Walker ranking in the 33rd percentile since 2022. He had discipline issues, especially early in his career, although the linebacker has been able to clean those up over time, which we will get to. The only other areas Walker has been consistently below average are interceptions, forced fumbles, and average depth of tackle, ranking in the 39th percentile for both. This probably speaks to the issue with Walker. He is not a bad player, but he is not a playmaker who is lighting up the box score with turnovers or tackles for loss. He only has 1 career interception and 3 forced fumbles.
I think I just went over all that.
Came as a rookie.
Yeah, I just went over all that. I just gave kind of the same numbers. But here's an image that I want to share in Yahoo Sports. Just got to get it to work.
Yeah, this has got some pretty cool charts and everything on him.
Come on.
And nobody's going to know him better than the Packers, you know. So based on what he has put together over 4 years, Walker is not the type of player the Packers should be looking to pay a significant contract to, and letting him move on in free agency next month seems like the right move. That was their conclusion.
Where did it say that he was going on that list?
Oh,
yeah.
Let me see.
Where do they think he was going anyway?
We'll see which team wanted him, or they think he fits the best.
All right, here we
It's
go.
a long list I'll have to look through. Hey, that's the same thing I was looking at.
Yeah, Yahoo Sports.
It was from Packers something or other.
Oh, yeah, they probably borrowed it from here.
They got a couple of them.
So penalties pretty high. Interceptions, forced fumbles pretty low. Run defense non-existent. Tackles pretty good. Assists okay. Missed tackle rate pretty good. He doesn't miss a ton. Stop percentage pretty good. Average depth of tackles marginal. Reception percentage marginal. 122.9. Passer rating against. Forced incompletion, his pass breakups pretty damn good, but his passer rating against and his yards per snap really bad. His stops average or below average. In the pass rush, his quarterback hurries and hits very low. His sacks below average. His pass rush productivity and his pass rush percentage, win rate really low. So yeah, he's just not fitting the bill for me. Now there's plenty more options out there. I'm glad that Robbie brought him up because he was someone that we would have to get to eventually. But he's just not someone that fits for me.
Yeah. He's number 13 on the list for ESPN, and it says the best team fit would be the Washington Commanders. With veteran linebacker Bobby Wagner also hitting free agency, Walker could fill a need for the Commanders. After posting 128 tackles with the Packers last year, he has the traits to fit really well in Dan Quinn's defense. Paired with Frankie Louvu, Walker could be set up on pressures, and he has the second level speed to track the ball or close throwing windows. Washington would get a younger and faster on the defense with this move. So there you go. The Washington Commanders are a better fit than the Detroit Lions for Quay Walker.
Potentially.
I agree with that.
All right, so
agree
here's my number one reason, which no one stated yet. Here's my number one reason. Oh shoot, hold on. Number one reason. Remember when he pushed a member of the Lions training staff?
Yep.
That's my number one reason. Scouting aside, I don't think he fits. But I don't think the Lions are going to bring in somebody that was a complete douchebag to, their staff. I don't see that happening. How would that relationship work?
Yeah.
When you have a member of the staff still there and Walker, walks up and pushes a dude. And didn't he get ejected for that? I think he got ejected for that.
No, he didn't get anything for that one.
No, I think he did. I think he was ejected. If you want to Google it, I'm pretty sure he did. I'll start into the next one here.
Well, he would have been fined. So let's see.
No, I'm pretty sure he was ejected for that. Pretty sure. So another name that this one I do like. I just don't know how he fits just yet. I haven't done a lot of work on him. And it is an edge rusher from the Atlanta Falcons, Arnold Ebiketie. Now, there's been some success down there already, according to this article, and it's funny that they mentioned James Pierce. James Pierce won't be suiting up anytime soon. I'm pretty sure that dude is done. I don't know what Kevin Patra missed, but Kevin, if you didn't know, James Pierce was all over the news. Now, last season, he was buried on the depth chart in year 4. And because, Pierce, he does mention it. He says, but Pierce's recent arrest on 5 felony charges cast serious doubt on Pierce's future. But and it might be prudent for the Falcons to retain Ebiketie, which they probably will now. Although the former second-round pick has generated just 16.5 sacks over 4 years. Like, that's not terrible, depending on, what your defense is trying to do. But he does have explosiveness off the edge that could thrive under new leadership in Atlanta or in new surroundings. And I agree with the new surroundings. Despite seeing a career low 370 snaps in 2025, his 16.4% pressure rate was the best of his career per next-gen stats in a league always in need of pass rush help. Ebiketie could be a steal on a short-term prove-it deal. So let me just look up Ebiketie real quick.
While you're doing that, Quay Walker was ejected for pushing a trainer.
He was.
Lions versus Packers on January 9th, 2023.
I thought he was. My memory works some days.
Yeah, that's the one where he went up the tunnel and threw his helmet against the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Was crying like a little baby.
Yeah. That's the Quay Walker that I know.
Play stupid games.
Win stupid prizes.
You got it.
Ebiketie hasn't had like a tremendous career just yet. He's still young. I mean, he's entering his 5th season, which the fact that he's lasted this long is good. But I'm just looking at his snap counts. he only had 516 as a rookie, 385 as a sophomore season, 543 in his third year, and then last year only 384. So he has not had a big opportunity yet to really prove what he can be. He's had plenty of time to learn, right? And I think that when you look at the low snap rate and you compare it to his sack totals, that's where the efficiency marks start to raise eyebrows for me. 516 snaps, you can say that's about half of a defensive snap load. So let's just say in his rookie year that if he would have played a complete season, he probably would have ended up with 6 or 7 sacks, not just 3. 2023, he played about a third of the snaps. And get this, 7 sacks on 385 snaps. That's insane, especially when this might be one of the highest efficiency ratings I've ever seen. Let me do the math. He had 175 pass rush snaps and 7 sacks. That is a 4% sack to snap ratio. That's extremely high. That's higher than Garrett, Aiden, and all the other guys that I worked up a couple of weeks ago. It's almost double their rate. That was his sophomore season, but again, just not enough snaps. 2024, he had 6 sacks on 543.
Which player are you on? Because I was looking at
Ebiketie, Arnold Ebiketie.
Okay.
And so in 2025, again, only 384 snaps, 2 sacks. But if you add up his total sack totals, if you add up his sack totals for his career, he had 3, and then he had 7, that's 10. He had 6, that's 16. And then he had 2, that's 18 sacks in 4 seasons. And let me add up his snaps. Get a fresh piece of paper here. I need to go buy a notebook today. Don't forget to get a notebook, Eric. Actually, we got to talk about packing and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Got to figure out what day we're going down. Where we're
Well,
staying
I think I got to go Monday.
All right.
Monday night. I mean, you can try to drive in Tuesday morning, but
Well, do you want me to drive to your house, pick you up when we go from there, or what do you want to do?
I'm driving straight down.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to have my car just in case I'm not feeling good or something.
Okay.
I just need to feel good. That's the thing. You can come here and we can go after that. All right, 516, 385. 516, 385, 543, and 384. Robbie, I'll get you in just a minute. I just noticed that you said you wanted to call in. All right. So 1,828 snaps. I mean, that's like not even 2 seasons for Aiden. And he had 18 sacks. It's less than 1% efficiency for his career, which isn't good, right? But again, I'd have to go in and do the same thing for like Aiden and everybody else. It's probably going to be pretty close. If you look at what he's done in a bubble, right, in some of the years that he's had an opportunity or no opportunity, but he's had some really good years. His numbers are great. They're not popping off the page, but his numbers are pretty solid. Even as a rookie, he was a 64 overall, 70 against the run. As a sophomore season in the NFL, he was a 61 overall, 54 against the run, 70 in the pass rush. 2024, 68 overall, 68 against the pass, 57 against the run. 2025, with the limited amount of snaps that he was given, again, about a third, 75 overall, 73.4 in the pass rush, 65 against the run. This dude has the ability. He does. He possesses it. He's only 6'3", 256 pounds, so he's that lighter, faster style of a player, but we need depth, right? The Lions need depth, and this is a player that he is good against the run, and he's good against the pass. or pass rush. So bring him in. At 27 years old, you can bring him in on a cheaper option. And the Falcons run a very similar defense. Be interesting to see what they do this year. Bring up my chart. They run a very similar defense to kind of Philly or Minnesota, and that's where the only disconnect is. That hybrid 3-4, 4-2-5, but Raheem Morris in his philosophy came. I guess it came from some of the same defensive trees, if you will, of like a Vic Fangio style of a defense. But I could see where he could be utilized as a defensive end. Defensive ends today, you got like three, in a 4-3 defense. You have the Aiden, you got your speed guy or speed to power guy. You have the Davenport, which is, the can crusher. And then you have an Ebiketie who's a mix of both. He has decent size. He's not as heavy, but he can he can get off the edge. He's got a quick first step. I still think that there's a need for that inside a defense like the Lions. And I still want to see the Lions do a little bit more hybridization of their defense. I want them to do more 3-4. We've seen them do 3-4 last year a couple of times. We need more of that. And having a guy like this off the outside that you can put in that outside off the ball, style of a linebacking role, I think that he'd be successful in Detroit. Is he a direct fit? No. Could he play all three downs? Probably not. But if you're bringing in a guy like this versus a Bosa, this guy's going to give you about the same as far as statistical output, and he's going to be way less expensive. So I guess that's where I'd go with that. He's not a direct fit. You'd kind of have to force fit that one a little bit, or Calvin Shepard would have to do something a little bit different with his defense. You probably don't have much to add to him. Not much out there. Al-Qadim Muhammad. Do you think he should come back? I think you're muted.
He's going to want too much money for the Lions for what he does and what he is and what his potential is and his age. I just think that Al-Qadim Muhammad, he served a good purpose. He had a great season. He had a breakout season for what he was asked to do and what he did. Love him for all of that. I thought he was a great player, but it may be time to move on because he has come right out and said he wants a bag. He's never gotten the bag. He deserves the bag. So he's going to go someplace like the Jets or the Patriots or someplace where they can pay him what he thinks he is deserving of. And the Lions might throw him an offer, but he's probably going to scoff at it and he'll probably go somewhere else.
I don't think that there's a doubt that he's going to test free agency.
Yes.
I don't think that there's a doubt with that. I think the Lions, I think he wants to stay in Detroit, and I think the Lions have a fair shot before free agency hits, which is just like 3 weeks away, man. Mm-hmm. Like free agency is right around the corner. I don't know about this getting a bag thing though. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
On social media.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not true then.
Oh no, it was on his social media.
I didn't see that.
He wants to get the bag.
Okay, where?
Something he said.
Why is my Google Voice missing? Oh, there it is. There it is. I didn't see that. But here's the question: how much is he going to be worth? Whether he wants a bag or not, the question is he going to get it? CBS Sports put out one free agent for every NFL team that should make sure to keep. I don't think this is the same one you're working with. This is about a week old. Which one should the Lions keep? Well, Al-Qadim Muhammad was the name. And it says that Al-Qadim Muhammad might have been the most unlikely double-digit sack player of 2025. Muhammad had just 12 career sacks across his first 6 seasons. He did not appear in a game in 2023 and wasn't with any team in 2024 until the Lions scooped him up onto their practice squad. He had 3 sacks for an injury-ravaged Detroit defense. that year, which was in 2024. And then he had 11 in 2025, playing on a 1-year deal. Muhammad, who's 30 years old. So a big deal likely isn't needed, is what they're saying. And Detroit should keep him in the place where his career renaissance happened. I would agree with that. I would agree that I think Al-Qadim Muhammad would probably want to stay where his, to use their term, career renaissance happened. The fact that he had 3 sacks in 2024 on very limited playing time. Very limited. Let me bring that up.
Okay. So I got his quote, and it wasn't that he wants a bag. He says, "I hope this team values me, and I will go where I'm valued at. To be honest, I would love to be back here, but you ultimately go where you're valued." That sure sounds like I want some of this. Cha-ching.
That sounds kind of weird, honestly. Is he throwing a shot at the Lions like he's not valued?
Kind of, yeah. Like they may not value me as much as someone will in free agency.
I mean,
He's going to pit the other teams against the Lions to pay him more.
That almost sounds like a shot at the Lions.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said I think he's out for the bag.
Well, he's going to be hard pressed to get one. His market value is $7.9 million, so he's not going to get a $30 million bag or a $20 million bag or even a $15 million bag. He's way under $10 million a year, way under. He hasn't done anything. The only thing that he has on his side is Drew Rosenhaus and Rosenhaus Sports. That's what he has on his side. If you look at his statistical output, age when signed, value, all that stuff. You have Derek Barnett, you have Arden Key, Peyton Turner. I think when you look at a lot of these players' previous contracts and what they started, the base calculated value was 2 years and $12 million. So the fact that his market value is closer to 7.9, if he gets a 2-year, $15 million deal from Detroit, he better take it. Yeah. Because that's probably only going to be on the table for 24 hours. That's how I would do it. You got 24 hours, man. You got 2 years, $16 million. Yes or no? And if it's no, see ya.
He turns 31 in March.
Yeah.
So his value may never be higher, and he plans to make sure the moment counts.
So in 2024, he appeared in 457 snaps. And he, I'm sorry, 2024. Let me start over. In 2024, 254 snaps and had 3 sacks. So that's going to be right around 1.1%, I believe. 1.2%. I was wrong. 1.18. So 1.18% efficiency rate for sack to snap ratio. And in 2025, he doubled up on his snap usage. But my God, did he go crazy in the sack department, right? He had, PFF says 12 sacks, and I think it was 11 or 11 and a half, right? I think it was 11.5.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's so many different or disparages between sack numbers from stat machine to stat machine. But he had a 2.5% efficiency rate, which is pretty high.
Yep.
It's really high. And his overall numbers in 2025 were pretty good. 74 overall, 71 against the pass, but his run defense, well, it wasn't the greatest. And if you compare that to, hold on, get the drum roll. Yeah, I'm going to get that. I got to work. I got to spend a whole day just working on Audible stuff. If you compare the run defense between Al-Qadim Muhammad and Joey Bosa, Joey Bosa was 54.6 against the run. Al-Qadim Muhammad was a 59.3. Joey Bosa appeared in 563 snaps. Al-Qadim Muhammad appeared in 457. So the amount of snaps is pretty close, within about 100. And the statistical output, Joey Bosa had 5 sacks. Al-Qadim Muhammad had 12. Joey Bosa had 22 tackles. Al-Qadim Muhammad had 9. Which that part boggles my mind on PFF. How can you have 12 sacks but 9 tackles?
Shouldn't it count as a tackle and a sack?
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah, I'm gonna test something.
There
we
you go.
I found it.
That's not a drum roll.
Oh, well, I got you the.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So anyway, let's Robbie, you said you wanted to call in. So come on in and tell us about Quay Walker. We got to get out of here in the next couple of minutes.
Well, in the chat, Attila the Hun said that most of Al-Qadim Muhammad's production came in 7 of his games, and he disappeared in the rest of the games. And I have to agree with that. That there was a few games where you just did not hear Al-Qadim Muhammad's name at all for a tackle, a sack, a tackle for loss, rushing the passer, anything. There were games where he disappeared.
Okay. It's good story. Now I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
We don't have time to look it up, but I'm going to put the challenge out there.
All right. That's just what Attila says.
Hold on.
But I can remember games where I didn't hear his name. Like,
hold on. Rock, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right,
hey,
good.
there-
Go ahead. Take it away, man. The floor is yours for the next 60 seconds. Tell us why Quay Walker is good for Detroit.
All right. Quay Walker is great for Detroit. Do you remember your analysis on Alex Anzalone when he first arrived in Detroit? Your analysis was...
That was 5 years ago.
He was a good linebacker. He had too much on his plate. He was trying to do too much. And then we started filling up the roster, and he wasn't doing everybody's job at once. He was just doing his job, and he started playing better and better. That's why Alex wants more money. Well, Quay Walker is in a similar situation in Green Bay. However, the difference is Alex came in with experience. Quay Walker was drafted to be a starting Mike linebacker for Green Bay's defense. He was a young kid, a lot on his plate. He didn't have the experience that Eric's funny. He didn't have the experience that Alex Anzalone did coming into the same situation. Now we have Jack Campbell, an all-pro linebacker, the quarterback of our defense. Him and Quay Walker would be an excellent 1A, 1B linebacking duo. Probably the best linebacking duo in the league. And I say that for this reason. Jack Campbell is the man. Quay Walker's coming in. He doesn't have to be the man. He's the supporter. He's got the raw athleticism we need for a linebacker. The speed, the acceleration, the agility. Jack Campbell is making all the calls, doing everything. He's taking a lot of pressure off this young man's mental stability. I'm not saying he's unstable. I'm just saying he had a lot of pressure on him being the quarterback of that defense. There was a lot of expectations labeled to him right out of the draft class. He was supposed to be the man. He's coming to Detroit. He doesn't have to be the man. He can play looser, freer, with more confidence because he has the man right beside him. Jack Campbell's battle-tested. He's been the man for the last 2 seasons. All-pro, best linebacker in the league. Award winner. Quay Walker can slide right in. We can miss Alex Anzalone? Not at all. Because Quay Walker can do everything Alex Anzalone can do, but he can do it faster, bigger, better. Without none of the responsibilities of controlling the entire defense to make sure everyone's in the right position. He doesn't need to do that. We have Jack Campbell. He can play freer and looser. That is why Quay Walker would be a perfect fit with Jack Campbell in this defense.
All right, so I've
given few players have the athleticism Quay Walker has.
All right, so Rob, I've given you 60 seconds. Now you got to hear mine.
Yep.
Okay, number one, I'm not going to buy into Quay Walker having all of this pressure and not being able to perform or being a loose cannon and getting in trouble and having discipline issues because of pressure. What makes you a great football player in the NFL is being able to handle the pressure. The type of players that the Detroit Lions want and bring in are the captains, are the guys that don't get in trouble, are the guys that do everything great on the field and off the field, but they create diamonds on the field because they can handle the pressure. There's a difference between a pressure of coming in and having to be a Mike linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. Well, he was a multi-role linebacker at Georgia. And so he did play Mike linebacker. That was one of his roles. Coming into Green Bay, being asked to do that, that was his job. He should have been able to do that, but he didn't. And instead, he got into trouble, and he had, a whole host of other issues with his attitude. The versatility or the agility, yeah, that's all there. 6'3", 220 pounds, coming out of Georgia. He's a bit undersized, but he should be able to play a little bit more of that Sam role. The problem is that's not where he's played. He's been a Mike linebacker. The Lions don't need two Mike linebackers. We don't roll with two inside linebackers. We have a Sam, a Will, and a Mike linebacker, which is Jack Campbell. If we need someone to come in to fill Alex Anzalone's role, we need a Sam linebacker that is used to playing that role, that is good in coverage, and is also good against the run. And unfortunately, if he can't handle the pressure of being a Mike linebacker coming in, even for 2 or 3, 4 seasons, whatever it was in Green Bay, how is he going to be able to handle the pressure coming in to play Sam linebacker for the Detroit Lions when that's not a position that he's played the last 3 or 4 seasons?
The difference is mentality.
Well, the mentality is not.
He was the senior in Georgia. He was the senior dictating the kids.
What does that have to? What does that have to do with today?
Walking into the NFL as a rookie, you're given the responsibility of talking to the defense and making sure everyone's in the right spot. But you're a rookie talking to not your peers, your elders.
Okay, so
it's a different mindset. It's a different composite to the situation.
Yeah, I totally disagree, because that's like saying if Jack Campbell would have came into Detroit and totally failed, it would be okay because he was talking to kids in college and then had to come to the NFL and talk to his peers. But Jack Campbell didn't come into the NFL and fail. Jack Campbell came into the league and dominated because he had the right mindset.
Jack Campbell wasn't the quarterback of the defense for the first 2 years. That was Alex.
Sure he was. And Jack Campbell was given the green dot his second year. Alex Anzalone was transitioning to Sam linebacker through Jack Campbell's first year. Whenever they put Jack Campbell on the field, he was in that Mike role, and Alex Anzalone kicked out into the Sam. Now Alex was still calling a lot of the plays. He was still running the defense until Jack could pick it all up, and it was his second season that he was picking it all up and became the green dot. It was still a shared role with Anzalone at times, but Jack still came in to do his role, right? And within one season, he was handed a defense. So why didn't Quay Walker pick it up in his second year then? If he needed to learn for 1 year, I'll give you that. Why didn't he pick it up in his second year?
It's a pressure thing. It's a pressure thing.
Well, we in Detroit.
Some people can handle pressure. Some people can't.
Well, I think
leadership dictates a certain amount of discipline and composure. I'm not saying the man's been perfect. I just know the man's super talented. And I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
No, I wasn't saying anything, but what I was going to say, was I think that what you're trying to sell me on is the exact reason why I wouldn't want him. I want someone that can handle pressure. I don't want someone that can't. And so far through his career, he's been given plenty of opportunities to handle the pressure, and he hasn't been able to. Regardless of his ability or agility on the field, he has not proven that he can actually execute it to a high level and still keep his head on his shoulders. That's a problem for me. I don't think that those are the types of players we want in Detroit. And then beyond all that, though, I mean, Nick, you know as well as I do, I mean, the one issue that I stated with him putting his hands on our training staff, that's the exact reason why he won't be in Detroit. Those are the types.
watched that game. I knew exactly what you were talking about when you were talking about it.
Yeah, those are the things that would never line up for me. And I don't think that Dan or Brad would ever bring a guy in like that is, not only done something like that to their personnel, but has been that type of player on the field. I mean, there's just a line you don't cross, and that one has never really been crossed in the league. It has happened so rare. So when I look at free agents, when I speak about free agents that can come into Detroit, it is a lot of it has to do with their ability on the field, and that's why Quay Walker, is one to talk about because he has the ability. But the next steps after that are identity, culture, locker room, behavior, attitude, pressure, handling, right? Being able to squash those diamonds out of your butt when you need to. And he just doesn't check the other 8 out of 10 boxes. Otherwise, yeah, he has the agility, the ability. He hasn't played well, though. He has not played well in coverage, and we need someone that can at least be to Alex Anzalone's level or better. And I just don't see it. I don't even know how much you'd pay Quay Walker, but it's way too much if it's $1 over $2 million to me. And I know it's not going to be $2 million. So, was there anything else you wanted to add to it? And remember, this isn't me versus you. This is us versus a player.
No, we just conversating. There's no ill will or ill intent here. Just conversation. But I think Quay Walker coming in, getting a fresh start, new atmosphere. Dan Campbell himself presents a presence on the field and on the sideline in the locker room on his own. Like Quay Walker has had to deal with Matt LaFleur, who's maybe half the size of Dan Campbell. Like that's the one thing that players talk about Dan Campbell the most is the presence he commands when he's talking to you, the respect he offers, the advice he gives. Look what he's done with Jameson Williams and helping him mature. Like there's the Dan Campbell effect extends beyond just the physical development and ability development. It also presents the mentality stability that he can offer young players as well. So I think Dan Campbell could get through to him. I think he would gravitate towards trying to impress Dan Campbell. And I think we could see a completely different player that Green Bay had versus what Detroit would get. And it may take a game or two for him to fit in and sync with the players and build that continuity and chemistry. But I really like the reward aspect, and I'm not so much as worried about the risk.
I gotcha.
Because of the upside he brings to the defense.
I gotcha. I mean, I could understand that. All right, we're gonna get into our last topic. We're way against it now. We're over 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me the time to explain myself.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye.
All right, final thing for me. We'll get into more, throughout the week because I got to get rolling. And I know you do too. This was the craziest thing I've ever heard, Eric. Craziest thing I've ever heard, and this just came out again during the Super Bowl. Did you know that Mike Vrabel was not hired during the 2024 cycle? Particularly because a team felt he was too imposing of size. Did you hear about this?
No.
Oh my goodness, dude. Diana Rossini reported it that said that he was too imposing of a figure and that it was not I'm gonna use the wrong word here. It wasn't off-putting, but it was more of intimidating to the front office personnel, that he was too big. How does Dan Campbell fit into that role then? When I heard this, I couldn't believe what I was hearing or reading, because Dan Campbell's bigger than Vrabel. Absolutely. How can that be a problem? But what that just told me is you didn't hire somebody based on how they looked. That sounds pretty.
What team would that have been?
That sounds pretty discriminatory to me. What
teams hired a coach last year?
It was
the Saints.
Okay, so here you go. It was Mike Vrabel was passed on in this coaching style, and an anonymous GM told Diana Rossini that Vrabel's physical stature may have been a factor. Quote, he's a very large human being and can be very intimidating to people in an organization. That is discriminatory, and that is a major problem that the NFL better figure out who the hell said it and why. Because I get it, you can hire and fire anybody you want, but there's a little known thing called being, discrimination. You can't discriminate, fire people because they're too old or because of their age or how they look.
Too fat or too big.
Yeah, like that's just crazy to me. But all right, we got to go ahead.
Last week, Brian Flores and some of the other minority coaches, they won they won the fact that they don't have to go to an NFL arbitrator. They get to actually go to court against the NFL. So they don't have to go up against just the NFL. They get to take his discrimination case to an actual court. And so that's nice to see that they can get rid of stuff like that in the NFL instead of just being a good old boys club. Let's make it fair and even for everyone. I'm down with that.
Absolutely.
And just like earlier, you saying, having a female president for the Detroit Lions, that would rock. I don't know how many female presidents there are for football teams in the NFL. Maybe the Lions can be trendsetters.
Could be, man. Be interesting. All right, we got to roll. I got to get ready for this interview or this press conference here.
Is there a link for that, or is it going to be live? Or
no, it's not live. It's recorded and then it's usually put out on YouTube.
Okay.
So, or wherever they put it. I sent out the link to everybody for last year, so you can kind of see how it went.
Yeah, I watched last year's.
Okay, so that's the same thing. It's recorded by them, and then they'll put it out wherever. I'll probably record my side. I better read the rules first.
Yeah, if they let you.
Yeah. Not that they would know, but I don't want to break any rules either. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Probably go to Detroit Lions. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Pressured by